Hello, puppies and kittens. I've got Bogey on from the when we used to do it for like 3.5 years or whatever. We were reading the Quran. Bogey was the first one to join us there, and I couldn't have done the show without him. He more or less assembled or attracted a whole team of people that were fluent in the Muslim traditions, and of course also fluent in Arabic. Bogey, good to see you again. Haven't seen you in like a year or so.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Tim, wasn't it?
You're in. Are you in Calgary? You're in Alberta,
No,
right?
I moved to Ontario.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you in August then.
Good. I'll prepare the beers.
I'm going to be in Calgary in a couple of weeks. I thought you would still there, but that's all right. I'll be in Ontario in August. It
Awesome.
would be cool if it was close by and you could stop by and we can have a couple drinks. Anyway,
Well,
uh,
come and stay at my place if you want.
I've got a swanky hotel room apparently arranged for me,
I
so
guess
I'm gonna
that's
have to
better
pass.
than my place.
Okay, so anyway, we were gathered together today because Salman, who is with us here, uh, he said that he can prove that everybody else's interpretation of the Quran is wrong, and that the Quran is actually really scientific. You just have to read between the lines and ignore the lines and count up the verses and then interpret the numbers backwards, and then that's what. Well, let me have you explain it, Salman.
Yep,
Explain what you're going to present today.
sure. So I would like to begin with the topic that there is a mention of solar system in the Quran, and it's very obvious. I don't
Really?
understand why for so
I wonder
many.
why, if it's so
Yeah.
obvious, why did Bogey and I both fail to hit upon it when we read it?
Probably because you were reading all the translations and not the actual
Wrong.
Arabic.
You're right. I mean,
Wrong. First,
you
wrong
compare all these
assumption.
translations, and it was so obvious that none of the translators were able to see it either.
Maybe a few do translate the verses in the way I have translated, but these are not popular ones. That's a problem. You normally would read what Sahih Bukhari, Sahih International, or you would read Yusuf Ali, right? These are the most popular ones, but I
Well,
don't
I was
think
I
they.
was comparing a half a dozen of them just to make sure that I was, because a lot of times with the translation that like the Abdel Halim translation didn't make any
Yeah.
sense because it was
Mhm.
politicized for Westerners. So some of the
Mhm.
translation is kind of suspicious.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would have to compare that to a have to Quran.com and what is it? I can't remember the name of there's like six of them, the six leading ones so far as I could tell, and I would
Hmm.
have to compare verses in between these to figure out what the hell the thing is saying.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. And the thing is, I will not at all today defend the translators. I will defend God's words, if that makes any sense.
Oh, because the translators were not dealing with God's words; they were dealing with whose
Maybe
words were
because
they?
yeah, but maybe because they had a mediocre understanding of science back then, right? Most of the
Oh,
translation.
yes, all these professional translators had a mediocre understanding.
Why
Gotcha.
can't they? Why can't they? They are not gods, are they?
Salman,
Yeah.
when the
Yeah, go
Quran was promulgated upon the people,
ahead.
do you think the intent was that they don't understand it?
Mm, see, my version is that
No, 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 no. Just answer me on the
yeah, yeah.
level.
Go ahead. Go
Like,
ahead.
I'm a human being. You're a human being. I'm assuming, not a space alien or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
If I write a book,
Yeah.
okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a rational being,
Right.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to understand this book and follow its instructions,
Mm-hmm.
will I write it in a way that you can't possibly understand those instructions?
That's a very, very good argument. Very good argument. But what if most people in the world are just earning sawab points or parroting what other people say, and they never think it creatively the way it should be thought about? I mean, I'm
Well,
I'm
here's an idea. Here's an
I'm not.
idea. If God,
I'm
if God is going to be talking about the solar system,
Mhm.
why didn't He say that? Why doesn't He describe things the way they are, and in a way that people could understand it back then. Instead, all of the writing in the Quran
Mm-hmm.
precisely matches the erroneous understanding that was throughout Asia at the time,
Mm-hmm.
where the Earth is a flat disk divided into four quadrants, often mistranslated as, or sometimes mistranslated as corners, and
Mm-hmm.
that this flat disk stood on pillars, and that it
Yeah.
was covered by a giant crystal dome with windows in it, and that this entire snow globe was thrust under an eternal abyss of water, so that there would be water above the firmament and water below the firmament, and that the sun and the moon would be the same size as each other, both smaller than the earth, but both larger than the stars, because people didn't know that the sun was a star itself. So the sun, they cast the sun as being bigger, and because of our vantage point, they thought that the sun being much further away, 400 times further away than the moon, they thought it was, the same size, even though it's 400 times bigger.
Yeah.
If God is writing all of this,
Mm-hmm.
why would he write a book that sounds exactly like, includes all the errors of all of these other religious beliefs at the time? Why
Mm-hmm.
didn't he correct and clarify
Mm-hmm.
and say that, hey, the earth is actually a sphere, not a circle, but a
Mm-hmm.
sphere,
Mm-hmm.
and that there are other spheres, and say, why did it say that, why does the Quran say that the sun and the moon both orbit the earth, and that the stars are lamps in the sky that angels can take out of their place in the firmament and lob at devils when they get too close to God's hotel in the pinnacle or the height of this
Right.
expanse of this firmament?
Yeah. Yeah. You made some really good points here. Now, my point here is that if God intended it to sound very different from what people actually believed in those days, nobody would understand that. That's one
No,
point.
no, 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 no.
The second point.
The point
Let
of the
me complete.
Quran is that
Yeah,
the people believe it.
yeah, but let me complete what I'm trying to say here. The second
Okay.
point is important here. Let's say we talk about a Sumerian text. Sumerian creation myths mentions Anki, creating An and Kill. Now, why would it mention this in the ancient text, which Quran didn't stole? Let's say Quran stole from all cultures. Why it didn't stole those stories as well? Why it only stole stuff that makes sense or that is correct? I mean,
Oh,
it should
why,
have
you mean,
stolen
why
all.
didn't it? Why did it
Yeah,
steal only the silly parts that don't make sense and
no,
that we know are
no.
false?
No,
How would
I think
how
what he's
would
referencing is there are plenty of creation and destruction myths at the time, known
Hmm,
at the time, and the Quran didn't take from them. It took
hmm,
from essentially the
Why?
Greek.
Oh, why did a Semitic culture only
hmm,
borrow the Semitic
They
creation
took from
myths?
the Greek Ptolemaic view of the world at the time, and
yeah,
not the Sumerian or the
Well,
ancient
to be
Egyptian.
fair, I think the Greeks actually borrowed from this
Yes,
was
they did.
the whole thing about the flat Earth being under a dome and all that. That was more Asian, and I think the Greeks borrowed that. So the Muslims, when they created the Quran, they wrote into the Quran parodies, or like the Reader's Digest version of the creation myths that they had already known from prior Christianity, which had already been borrowed from Judaism. So they're just it's just genetic. It's just the lineage of the religious belief.
all right. So, what if I prove from Quran using just the numbers and mathematics that it actually is speaking about solar system, creation of the universe, and the planets and the Earth?
Well, then
Exactly.
if you could do that, then I would have to wonder why you didn't do that in the two videos that you wanted me to watch, that where you purported to do that and didn't.
So,
Because what you're
mhm.
trying to do is retrofit, where you count up a number of verses and say, well, this number of verses equals this number, or these are the numbers of the verses, and if we add these together, then we can come up with this artificially contrived number that we can then retrofit to some other thing that's
I would
completely irrelevant to what the Quran is saying.
I would say this is a very intellectually dishonest way if I would have done that. Like I would have
You're
never.
right. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I thought when I watched your video too.
So if you watch the first part of my video, it clearly says that the earth was created in two periods in one of the
Yeah.
verses, and the universe was created in six periods.
Yep.
Now, if you want to begin with numbers, I'm not even talking about the numbers of verses. I'm talking about the numbers mentioned in the verse itself. All right.
Okay.
Let's say that I have researched a few topics, and this is the one that we are talking today. Let's keep our focus on the solar system today. If you can see my screen, I'm sharing this research with you, and I am so bold to claim right now that in 1400 years since Islam, nobody did such an extensive work on this. This is a very confident statement. You can then come along and say why I am wrong, or how the translators are more appropriate or more right, and I'm wrong or I'm false. But this is the claim I'm making. It's a bold claim. Let's see whether I'm wrong. How about that?
Okay. I
Let's see.
think I already did say that. I don't need to repeat myself, but let's just go ahead.
Sure. Something that I want to begin here is with the topic of what exactly are seven heavens. We have heard this many times from all religions. Even Hinduism has a version of it. Seven heavens.
Hmm.
We have Christians talking about it. We have Judaism talks about it. Bible. Everywhere you will find this mention of seven heavens. But it seems like
Where did all these other people get these ideas?
I think all the religions have them. Most of the major religions
But
do.
where did they get these ideas? Everybody believes in these concentric circles of existence where the earth is in the center, and then you have these other concentric circles, or they have this notion of seven different aspects of heaven, but they don't have a
Any,
solar system in mind, none of them. So
yeah, yeah,
where did
yeah.
they all have the wrong idea? Where did all of these religions get the wrong idea?
Mr.
I,
Salman,
I,
just a second
for sure.
before we roll down this ravine.
Mhm.
Can you read 71:14 for me?
Yeah, the 14 I remember by heart, so I can say without reading from the book. So it speaks about the creation of humans in stages.
What stages?
I have also researched this topic, but since see we are on a topic right now of
Yes, we are, but context kind of bears the meaning with it. And if 71:14 says
Mhm.
وَخَلَقَكُمْ أَطْوَارًا,
Yes,
what are the atwar?
yeah, exactly. The stages you are.
What are we talking about here? Is
Yeah,
this the acknowledgement of evolution in the Quran?
let's say it is not, and
Because
that's
I can use the methodology you did,
for
and
embryology,
I'll
right?
say, okay, this proves evolution.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
there, right there, 71:14,
yeah,
take it
yeah,
or leave it.
yeah,
Our
yeah. See,
ancestors, the fish, were great.
yeah, yeah. Baraz, you have a point here, but see
Yeah,
the
I do.
topic. See the topic right now. When we see my question to you is, shouldn't we just expand on one topic completely and falsify every freaking thing out there and just stay on the
Not as the price of ignoring the picture, ignoring the
sure,
context, and ignoring the settings of what these
sure,
verses are
sure,
in. Because
and
then you're
yeah, yeah.
plucking things out from here and from there. I
All right.
noticed you jumped from
Would you? Yeah,
71:15 all the
yeah.
way up
Mm-hmm.
to Surah 6
All right, all
in a
right.
valiant jump across the universe to tell us
Mm-hmm.
about the planets.
No, it's not
Context.
so. It's not so.
Again,
No, no,
context.
no. You are absolutely wrong here. Let me say why. 71:15. See here, right now, right there, and then in front of you, in the next verse, 17:16. Don't you see that? It says, "And made moon therein a light, and sun a radiant lamp." Why is God talking about these seven heavens in layers, and then continuing to say that there is a moon and sun in them? You know why? You know
Because
why?
everybody in antiquity could
That's
see
why.
them. They could
That's why.
see them, and they had
That's why.
no idea what they
Exactly.
were.
Exactly. That's why moon, sun, and the layers make complete sense to those people back then.
Yeah,
They
but
don't make
still,
they they
the
don't make
problem
sense to
is,
us. They don't make sense to us or people who believe in a heliocentric version of the universe. But it makes sense for people who believed in the geocentric back then, because people back then only understood geocentrism. They didn't understood heliocentrism.
So
Now,
you're
if you're
saying that
talking about context, now Boras, let me complete. Since you are talking about context, I know the whole context of the word of this chapter 71. It starts with Noah's story. Noah is actually preaching his disbelievers of his time, and he is speaking to them about all the scientific understandings of that time to those people, and telling them that you should believe the God who did all this, who created these seven heavens, which include moon and sun, who created us from the earth like a plant, who created us in stages. All these verses, 71:14 to 17, are the signs of those days of Noah. So it is Noah who is speaking, not God. Now, this is the reason why I've written here. You can see, doesn't God know any better? Why God mentions
no, no,
geocentric?
no, no. It is God who's speaking here.
No, it is
Oh,
not.
yes. وَقَدْ
Oh
خَلَقَكُمْ
no.
أَطْوَارًا. Who
Oh no.
created Noah?
No, 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 no.
Then
Look here,
what?
look here. It's very clear. It's very clear. If you read from the 71 1 to 71:16, it's Noah preaching to the disbelievers. Why not you check out the verse yourself? Go ahead, check 71 1 and read all the verses up to 71:16, and you're gonna clearly see it's
So
Noah.
Noah says to his people these words, and his people is not believing him.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Okay?
as just
But
as yeah.
these words are given to Noah by
Mm-hmm.
God, because
No,
Noah
no.
wouldn't know. And
Yeah.
we know that he wouldn't know because
Hmm.
he had no means of knowing this. He would
No.
just say, parroting the words.
You
Now,
know what his means was? You know, I can tell you what his means was. His means was the science of his days, the geocentric model. Wasn't Noah a human? Wasn't he living among people who already knew the geocentric model? So he
yes,
was.
and according to this fable, we are all supposed to be descendants of Noah because everybody died in a global flood, and we are all descendant of Noah. And we know that the global flood didn't happen, and we know that we're not descendants of Noah.
All right. That's a topic for another day. How about that? So
But
well,
do you
no.
admit? Will you admit now that there was no global flood because there can't have been?
okay, now my understanding of the flood is that it was not a global, but it was on a specific people.
Okay, so even though the Quran says that we are all descendants of Noah, you're
When
saying
does
the
it
Quran
say?
is wrong here, that we
Show
are
me,
not all the
Boraz.
descendants of Noah.
Boraz, now you are asking me question. Now, why not you ask Aaron the question where it is written in Quran? There's a statement that he just said.
Well, nobody survived the flood unless he was on that boat.
Yeah,
That's
that's why we're all descendants of Noah, because
We
everybody
have
else
to
is
be the
dead.
descendants of Noah accordingly, and we can demonstrate scientifically that we are not the descendants of Noah.
So, see, my point here is
So
a
we
topic.
have to be the space aliens now.
No, see, the thing is, we have to keep to one topic, right?
Well,
Otherwise,
no, the topic is the Quran scientifically accurate or not?
yeah.
And
So
the Quran
actually,
is not scientifically accurate. It's just simply is not.
Buraz, you know Arabic, right? I know that you know Arabic.
How do
You
you
know,
find out?
I've listened to a lot of your debates. They are very good debates. You're a good debate. Very good. About 71:15, you can see yourself. It says, "Do you not see tarao," which can mean consider, realize, stuff like that, right? And then it says seven heavens in layers, tabaka, saba samawat. Saba is seven, samawat is heavens. Now, seven heavens is a proper noun. It can't be translated to something else. Like you can't translate Iceland into a land of ice. You know that it's a country, right? So people back then in the times of Noah already know what Saba Samawat was, seven heavens. and they knew it, but we don't in this age doubt what it is. That's why there is so much confusion. What is
There
Okay,
is,
so
there is,
let
because
me jump in here if you don't mind, because you asked me to produce this. In I think it's verse 24. I hope I've got this copied right. Lord, bring nothing but destruction down upon the evildoers. They were drowned and sent to hell for their evil doings. They found no one to help them against God. And Noah said, Lord, do not leave any of the disbelievers on earth. If you leave them, they will lead your servants astray and beget only sinners and disbelievers.
All right. So that's a good verse. Yeah, I've heard
I
that
guess
too.
somebody else must have built a boat and they survived.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, let's say we are descendant of Noah. Let's say that. Okay.
Well, we can't because that would be a lie, and I'm not interested in lying today.
We can discuss this topic another. Just saying
Well,
something
can
doesn't
we
make
at
it.
least get a concession that the flood that it's talking about
Mhm.
was not global? It did not kill all the unbelievers. Most of the people in the world at that time were
Yeah.
unbelievers in this particular religion. Well, actually, everybody in the world at that time was an unbeliever in Islam.
And an evildoer,
See
right?
see
So
that's
if we are talking about what
Mhm.
Mesopotamian lore tells us
Mhm.
about a big flood that wiped out everything
Yeah.
in Mesopotamia, right? Because
Yeah.
that event used to happen there. So if we take it as a regional flood, like a big old
Mhm.
flood, towns get wiped out and your cattle gets washed to the sea, and that would be everything for you. And it would make sense. But when you try to universalize it, it fails because that flood did not happen everywhere.
Yeah, the Quran says it did, but it didn't. So we'll skip your concession because you're not willing to make that concession. Let's get to where you imagine there to be a solar system in the text, which you say is obvious, yet hasn't even been apparent to anybody. All the millions or billions of people who translated the Quran, they don't see what you say is obvious. So let's have you show put some light on that.
Are we still sounding okay?
Yeah, I don't. Salman, you've got something really weird going on with your sound. Try saying that again. Whatever you said was unintelligible.
Still roboting.
Yep. Yep.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, if you check the chat, you'll see that there are people complaining that the sound is no good. Okay, what this sounds like, Salman, we don't hear words from you. It sounds like you're trying to play a rubber band in your teeth, twang, 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 twang. That's what we're hearing.
Is it fine now, or is it still the
Yes.
same?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can
That's
hear you
good.
now.
It's good now.
Wow, that's perfect. So, Aaron, I would say you were spot on. You were spot on. Why don't people realize, even when these verses are in conjunction? 71:15, after that, we see the moon and sun are within them. Fihin is the word, and Boraz will tell you the meaning of fihin. So, I postulate this is a Ptolemaic model, seven classical planets in layers still visible through naked eyes. They are Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Now, Uranus and Neptune weren't in this list because we needed a telescope to see them. Still today, we need a telescope to see them.
But
And
the Quran
also,
would still tell us. I mean, if it's
it would.
this is the word of God and God is about truth, then He will tell us how many planets there are, regardless whether we can see them. He would also tell us that the Earth was not did not have mountains set upon it so that they'll hold the map of the Earth
Yeah.
down. He wouldn't use isostasy or any kind of arguments like that. He would have instead said that the Earth is like a bubble underwater rising to a surface that doesn't exist because it's eternal, or it would be like a raindrop that's perfectly round like a ball falling forever because there's nowhere to fall to, and there are other things out there falling with us. He could say all of that. He could make it intelligible for people, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He wrote something that exactly fit the mythology, which you agree is erroneous, that all of these other people used to believe prior to Islam. So everything they got wrong, the Quran got wrong. The Quran simply repeats the same error.
I would say
Let
these
me
are the
put forth
these are the translators who repeat the errors of other religions. Could it be that also? Don't you think?
Well, why would translators
Why
repeat?
would?
No, you have to have somebody carry over the actual document, and then in another language, and then a translator takes it from this language and says, okay, well, how do we get this from Hebrew to Arabic? That's what the translator does.
Yeah,
And so
right.
what you have with the formation of Islam, you have some works taken from the Bible, although they're corrupted quite a bit, and then you add to that some of the Arabic pagan legends, some of the local history, and you kind of integrate that into the stories that you now have in the Quran.
All right. So, but here's the point, Aaron. The point is that Quran, the God has to speak for all people, past, present, and future. That's the problem.
Why doesn't he?
How will people make sense of a heliocentric model in back then, or about any of the discussions we now understand as truth? Because the problem is that you have to take people with you, right? All along, you have to take people with you. And the smart approach in Quran, however, is that by talking to people of those times, it stays relevant to people in this time. That's something that.
But my problem with, and I wrote this because I read the Quran, and I wrote articles, blog posts that are on aronra.com if you want to see them. I wrote my analysis of all of these surahs, and one of the things that I complained about over and over and over again was that the Quran did not speak to people of other times and did not speak to people of other nations. It spoke to Arabic people of that century, and that's it.
Of the early Iron Age. The problem here is why doesn't Allah tell Moses about a planet that is named after a cartoon dog that turns out not to be a planet after all?
Pluto.
Would have blown my mind.
If the Quran,
1400 years later, it would have blown my mind.
It would have blown people's minds if the Quran said that while it may look, and the Quran endlessly repeats the same stupid bullshit over and over and over and over again. Right from the very beginning, it says, believe the Quran. Even before the Quran is written, right in the very beginning, it says, believe the Quran. And that's all it says. The unbelievers will go to hell. Every chapter repeats the same damn thing. Like practically every chapter has to repeat some version of Noah or Moses or one of the other biblical stories. The Quran wastes an awful lot of space, and it still ends up being significantly smaller than the Bible. The Quran certainly had the time and the space available that they could have said something true, and they could have said something that was explaining our real situation. It could easily have said somewhere. It could easily have said somewhere that while it looks like, and the Quran could say that everywhere else in the world at this time, people may think that the Earth is a flat disk, but it's really not. It's really like a ball. And there are many things that they could use as an example of what a ball is. There was a different word in Hebrew for sphere than there was for circle. It could have said that. It could have said that while it looks like the sun and the moon are the same size, they're actually not. It could have described that the sun is a lot further away and a lot bigger. And it could have said that instead of saying the lie that the sun and the moon orbit the Earth, it could have said that while you could say that the moon goes around the Earth, but The earth also goes around the sun, and these would be things that would not be known or could not be demonstrated in the time that they were written. There would be no way that anybody could have known that back in the 7th century. But then it would have been vindicated if the Quran had actually said that.
Yeah.
But what you get instead is you get these weird things about trying to retrofit. Well, if you count up the numbers of the verses and you add up the numbers of the verses, well, then they come to this number. And if you add this number to this other number, well, then you get the date of the moon landing.
That's not that is another thing, right? That's another topic for another day. How about
I thought that was the topic for this day. I thought that was the one you asked me to talk about for this day.
Actually, we have to expand on one thing. I would rather go that path. We can debate another time for other things as well, because this itself is a very comprehensive debate. Now,
this is not a debate.
Oh, sorry. Discussion.
You're having an opportunity to present a case.
Sure. Now, coming back to your point that you well said, you made a point that God should have made things apparent in Quran, shouldn't be such gobbledygook or things like that. You can't understand. You are very fair in saying that. I am not dismissing this, but hear me out now. Hear me out. Let's say God presented everything in scientific way, everything provable, no effort on your own, nothing, no test, no nothing. Everything is crystal clear. Who will be the buffoons? There will be only buffoons who will not believe Quran, right? First of all. Second of all, Quran makes you to think about what is said. Reflect upon the verses. Don't take word for it from translators, from people around the world. Do your own research, just the way I did.
Wait. Where in the Quran? You're telling me that the Quran says exactly the opposite of what the Quran constantly says. The Quran says to believe what you're told because you were told to, without question. It does not imply that you're even allowed to do your own research. There will be no forgiveness for anyone who doesn't blindly believe whatever they're told.
You can tell me one verse, Aaron, where Quran says, God says, don't investigate, don't question, just don't think, just don't reflect.
It'll take me some time to gather the list of times in the Quran where it says that.
In the meantime,
but there are several things. There are several times you are to believe because you were told to believe.
Yeah, but we can continue with the topic, and I'm going to show you other proofs which match with.
You can't show me other proofs if you haven't shown me a first one.
The first one is obvious. 71:15.
The first one is not obvious, and we know that it's not obvious because nobody's seen it.
How so?
This obvious. Maybe you should look up and get a dictionary, or go into dictionary.com and type in the word obvious. Find out what that word means. It means that other people can see it very easily. And since nobody ever saw this, then we can't say that it's obvious. It's not even apparent.
Didn't I speak about 71:15 and 71:16 to you?
Yeah, you did. And you made my point very well. But don't use the word obvious anymore if it doesn't fit. You can't say that you have other proofs if you didn't have a first proof.
I have a small objection against 71:15, actually.
Sure, go ahead. Boris.
The heavens are not seven, and they are not layered either. There is no distinction between, let's say, the surface of the earth and the edge of the universe in terms of layers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
it says, have you ever wondered how God created seven heavens, one above the other, except that there aren't seven heavens, and there's nothing in there that's one above the other.
See, I already explained it's Noah who is speaking, first of all, and he's speaking based on the science of his days, geocentrism, which believes in seven bodies. Seven bodies. And these seven bodies, I've already told you, are the Ptolemaic model of this, which are called seven.
So God is using 7th century science, and that's actually our argument.
Not God, Noah. See, present your argument simply like it's Noah, it's not God, first of all. Why you continue to say it's God who is saying this?
I'm sorry, but I didn't realize the Quran was written by Noah.
but it's
I thought the
Noah.
Quran was supposed to be God's word.
It's Noah who is speaking to the disbelievers of his days, trying to tell
Okay,
them.
so in Noah, when it says that the sun is a lamp and the moon is a light, and when it what about when it's not in Noah and it says the same things, when it says when other
There
surahs
are, yeah, there are
say,
words like that, and I do agree that there is also mention of sun as a lamp in other verses where Noah is not the subject. I know
okay,
that.
but
So
it doesn't matter,
what?
does it? Because the Quran only describes the erroneous 7th century misunderstanding, and that's what it portrays as truth. The Quran does not ever give us the divine perspective, which would at least be closer to reality, than the 7th century would be. It should be 21st century or better, and something we can verify now, but it
Mhm.
doesn't.
You see, the
Let me.
See,
disappointment here is the capability of Allah to actually tell us the truth, even if a little bit obfuscated, so that the people of the Iron Age are not completely frazzled by it,
All
is
right, but
missing. It's missing from the Quran. It's not there. It would have behooved him nothing to say the sun is a star, and
Mhm.
they left it at that. But the Quran doesn't. He goes around and say, well, the sun is a lamp. Oh, come on.
Yeah,
sun is
and
a
the
You are
Quran
the
also.
creator of the universe. You should know better than a
yeah,
lamp.
Boraz, but isn't sun a lamp for us?
No,
Like,
it's
what is
not.
serving? What is serving? It is serving us heat. It is serving us light. So
And according to the Quran, the sun orbits the earth. Now, should God not have corrected this misunderstanding?
we can
that's a
debate those
problem
things.
here that you see in the Quran and
We
the way
can
you look
debate
at it,
those
Salman,
things.
that
See,
it's assuming that God is weak enough that he cannot change the ideas of people that believed in him. But
we
we
can.
know in Islam that he changed the belief, because guess what? They abandoned their old belief and took new beliefs. They abandoned the polytheism and took monotheism, which
Yeah.
according to Islam is true. So if the old geocentric model of Earth or knowledge or look at the universe is bad and it's not true, why did not Allah just change it? Tell him, no, you're wrong. Just how you're wrong about your polytheism.
Can we move from this to where I want to go, or
Yes.
No, not until you answer the question.
see the see the thing is, when the topic comes, I am all yours. I'll talk about those things.
No. We you said
I
we
have
you said
prepared
about the seven heaven,
seven
seven
heavens.
planet.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I accept that. I accept that seven heaven, seven planet in the Quran. It's not
Hmm.
seven actual heavens. Okay,
Hmm.
but why didn't Allah change the geocentric model for air, but tell them no, it's heliocentric. You have to focus on the sun.
Now the thing is, heliocentrism is very recent. We have discovered it like 100 years ago, maybe like not 100, but 400. Copernicus, I think.
And Allah didn't know back in the day that it
No,
was
it's not
heliocentric.
like that. It's
He never
Noah.
What
mentioned it.
See, the
what?
Noah back in those days, people wouldn't understand what he's speaking. He's trying to convert people
I,
back then. Those
Yeah, but
people already
Why?
listen,
Muhammad continued the same thing.
listen,
Muhammad
please
continued the same thing.
listen. Those people were already in doubt. Already in doubt.
That
How can they absorb something like a
uh,
helios
uh,
model
what
and then go like,
what?
okay, we believe you. Nobody's gonna believe them unless
But
they
the people that believed Muhammad, the people who believed Muhammad, did not question him about the Jew center. They accepted him because it's the prophet of Allah talking to them. And when he told them to change their habit, they changed their habit. They stopped drinking. They stopped using usuries. They stop killing their daughters. Stuff like this that we have
But
in
Boraz,
Islamic
I have a
studies.
question. I have a question for you then. Let's say, just as because you are saying it, just let's say that God doesn't know about heliocentric model, as you say. Okay, let's say he doesn't know. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, why is he mentioning that the universe was created? Why is he saying the universe was created in 6 periods and Earth is created in 2 periods in two separate
And
verses?
Because
I
he
have
didn't understand, because the people who are pretending to speak for God didn't know that the universe was never created.
and I have to say, Salman, you have a rare weak understanding of Arabic that you change the meaning of some words. When you
Okay, go ahead.
say, yeah, when you speak in Arabic, you cannot just say 6 day. You have to say 6 days. So when people use yoms, ayams,
Mm-hmm.
that means that they are using a multiple of things. So when the Quran says he used 6 days, sittatu ayyam, it means 6 days. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean 6 periods.
All right. So you're talking about the word I am, right? I am, your
It's
man,
not
and there is
ayam, it's ayyam.
ayam, your man,
Yes.
and the word yom. There are three words used in Quran. And now I can prove to you why this word is not only used as days in the Quran. In the Quran, listen. The thing is, if you check out the verses 22, 47, 32, 5, or 74, you can find that
Just a
God is
sec.
mentioning that his day is equal to 1,000 years of your counting. Now,
Yeah.
of course, that day is not an ordinary day. First of all, because during the
And
time of Big
and
Bang,
you,
in the universe, there was no sun and earth. So those
and
days
then
are
it's
not
still
24-hour days.
10,000 days, still shorter than the age of the universe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But
So the
here
Quran is
the
wrong.
point. But the point here is, even if you look at the word 74, it mentions 50,000 years for the angels to come. Still, the word is used days. So day is not specific to a 24-hour day. I'm
Salman,
sorry. I'm
Salman,
sorry. I'm sorry. It's not a 24-hour day. It can't be, right? Because there are verses in
Salman.
Quran which mention them as a bigger period of time. You
There
know
is
that, right?
Salman.
We have
There
to
is
take
no
it
And that's,
there is, there
wait a
is
see,
minute.
no there is no multiplier
Let's
you can
be
apply in
intellectually
the
honest
Quran.
on from
I
One
have to
person at a
say
time,
that is
please.
okay. This is the exception, because if ayyam meant multiple days, more than just like meant a period of time, not just multiple days, then the Quran would not have made the extension and that made a difference between the days of God, which 10,000, or the days of angels, which 50,000, or whatever, because those are the exception in the understanding of language. So if I tell you I drive my car for 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes on the road, means I might go 5 miles, I might go 20 miles, depending on the speed, you know? So it's the same thing. It's the exception of the period of time. That's why they had it an exception, explanation. It's an
yeah.
exception. It's not the regular use of the word.
I give you that. I give you that it's not a regular use of the
So
word
you
in.
cannot come and say the other days you take the exception and want to put it on the majority, and that doesn't work. That
Uh,
fails.
uh, okay, Boraz. Now
That's
here's the
not
here's
Mubarak. This is Mubarak.
so
By the
what's the
way,
name
hello,
again? I'm
Mubarak.
so sorry. I'm so
Hello, I'm sorry. We had some technical issue. I didn't get the link in time, but hopefully now we
I
can do it.
apologize. I apologize for that. Bogey had
All right,
sent me a message,
Mubarak,
and
welcome. How are you doing, Mubarak?
yeah.
I'm doing very well.
That's good.
I meant to send the link to both of you, but Bogey had posted something to me, and I accidentally replied to him only, thinking that I was replying to the group. So I
Oh,
apologize.
I stole your
No,
link.
it's okay. But Baraz is enough.
So, so Mubarak, are you Arabic? You can speak Arabic. You know Arabic.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So my point here is, let's say a yam. Let's ignore the word and think about the word sita, 6. and the word yomen, which is two. I want you to focus on these two words. Let's not nitpick about something which we disagree on. Let's at least talk about something that we agree on. There is a mention of six in the verse for the universe creation, and there is a mention of two for the earth. Now, why does this ratio match perfectly with the current age of the earth and age of the
But
universe? Now let me
Because you're
uh,
applying numerology, and that will make anything match with anything as long as you want it.
yeah, and
how
I have to say, Salman, the numerology of Islam is something that it's been repeated, and it's not just unique to Islam, because it's every religion will pick a number, and they will do all kind of mathematics around it to get what result you want.
all right,
Number and mathematics is a tool that we use to get the result we want.
Mubarak, you have a point here. You have a point
I
because
look, look.
people can make believe people thinks anything they want to believe.
Just
Like
throw
Yeah,
some numbers
any
in.
number,
Here is
they can just it can come out of a hat from a magician, and it can just appear, and you just gonna be like how it came up, right? But
look.
here we are talking about words, talking the words itself, talking about the
what
periods. It's not
what
the
are the
number of
verse?
the
What are
verses.
the verse?
The verse are 50:38 and 41:9. Both these verses, one of them is mentioning that the universe has something to do with six, and the earth has something to do with two. Let's forget about days or periods if you don't agree. Let's
What were those
Oh,
verses? 1531 and what?
no, it's 50:38, and the other one
1538,
is 41:9.
41:9. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So my point here was Mubarak. What I'm trying to say is it is not. It could be seven. God could have said 8 days. Could have said 3 days for Earth. Could have said stupid things, right? Could have done all that.
He
Why
did,
it's why why it is saying two for the Earth and six for the universe? That's the question here. Why
because he had
exactly?
no idea what he was talking about. The person who's speaking for God had no idea. So they come up with these periods that don't match anything in reality.
If that's so, why it matches with science account?
Why
Science.
does it not match with science? Why was
No,
the universe not created at all? Why can it not be divided into periods like you're talking about? Why does the
no,
Quran utterly fail to match anything about science? Well, correct your question.
no, but
why is 2 days the time of creation of the earth? For what we know scientifically, it took
Yeah,
millions of years, if not a billion years,
it took
of the
4.5
dust clouds around the newly accreted sun
solar
to
nebula.
actually coalesce into something solid, well, solid, more molten,
Hmm.
and then had to spend millions of years cooling down into a rocky constant.
That's true.
So you are going to tell me that we are going to say 2 days, and that will be something that is proportional to a 6 day creation myth that will represent the 14.7 billion years of creation,
yeah.
which is not even the whole universe, by the way. It only limited to the observable universe, because
No, let me correct you.
we never get to see all
I,
of it.
Boraz, since you are not probably not a student of science, if you are, let me know, because I am. Because you are absolutely wrong here. The universe. Even if we find out how big the universe is outside the observable universe, which currently is estimated around 250 times more than the observable universe, we still would not change the science years, billions of years that it took, 13.7 billion years. We'll still will not change that. You know why? Because of the proof with the cosmic background radiation, and because of the proof.
I think you
Wait,
may be
wait, wait, wait.
misunderstanding something. You're taking the Big Bang to be the creation of the universe, And I know that it's a common thing for believers to say that the universe was created out of nothing, because creationists believe in creation ex nihilo. And I know that at one point, sometime way back when, Stephen Hawking said something along the lines about the universe being created from nothing. But I don't know a single atheist alive who believes that the universe was created at all, much less created from nothing.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I mean,
maybe.
I've had the opportunity to interview a couple of leading cosmologists about this. Most famously, my interview with Sean Carroll, where he says that in his model, the universe is eternal in both directions, was never created. If it depends on how you define creation, forming things into a particular shape or form. Okay, well then maybe by that definition, but certainly not out of nothing. But even then, we don't have it in either 2 periods nor 6 periods, and the age of the Earth is not how long it took to create the Earth. So if you would want to talk about the creation of the Earth, now this is being made out of prior material. This is, as Bogey pointed out, this is an accretion from solar disk around what will become the sun. But that doesn't mean that it took, it didn't take 4.8 or whatever billion years to create the Earth. It just that's from going from random dust to where we are now.
We are talking about
I give you that. Let me explain because it's
so
very. It's,
we are talking about the dust cloud.
Let him Bogey. Let him explain. Let him explain.
Let me explain my point here, because Arun made a very valid point here, and I agree. I agree to what he said. Earth wasn't created in 4.5 billion years. I give you that. Once Earth was created, until now, it's 4.5 billion years. So the Earth was still hot. It was lava flowing all around and stuff. Then we get the cooling of the Earth for around 200 million years, something like that. Then we got the oceans, the planets, planetesimals, and the other things. What happened here? Alarm, I think. Okay, the planets, the planetesimals were formed, and the water was brought down from the asteroids and Theia and other stuff. The water.
Wouldn't it be nice if the Quran talked about some of that?
Yeah, that would be perfect, right? A free lunch, right?
Well, it would be nice if the Quran gave some indication about the way things really are.
But Aaron, then why would you be a disbeliever at all? Why would be there? Tell me whether there will be.
That's a perfect question. Since you're asking me, since God didn't explain in the Quran, didn't explain anything the way it really is, why am I not a believer? You've answered your own question with the question. Because the Quran, just like the Bible and every other holy book, all holy books get everything wrong, and that's why I'm not a believer.
No. So, see, you are spot on. Let me explain why. You are right that, yes, Quran doesn't explain everything, but whatever it
doesn't explain anything. Let's get that correct.
Here comes the struggle part. If you actually look into these numbers 2 and 6, then I'll in the next slide I will tell you how it is also telling about 2 periods for the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus.
I have to tell you that in the first ayah, the 38, it said that we have created the samawat, the heavens and earth in 6 days, and what's in between them, okay?
Yeah.
And then wait, and then and the other ayah you're talking about, the 41:12, is that the other ayah?
No, 41:9 is the next one. 41:9.
Okay, 41:9. Okay.
I can show you in the slide. Let me show you in the slide both these verses. So this is the slide right here. 50:38 is mentioning the universe age to be 6 periods long, and this 41:9 is mentioning it as 2 periods long.
Okay, just a second. So you are saying the 13.7 billion years of, as far as we know, the age of the universe is divided by 6. That's the gist of your argument.
See, I'm telling you there is a number 6 in this verse as a periods or days, and there is a number 2 in the verse
Okay,
41:9
so we
as
know
days.
that days is wrong, so that can't be it. So
But, but
what do you propose these 6 periods are?
So I would say that one period would be equal to what, 2.25 billion years?
And where do you get that number? Because the
Where
Quran
you get
says
you
that
divide the
a
you
day,
divide
the Quran
3 days.
says that a day, hold on. The Quran
Sure.
says that a day, a human day, is like 1,000 years to God, except elsewhere where the Quran contradicts itself, lies, and says
Yeah.
that a day is like 50,000 years to God. So we have these two answers that don't work with each other, and
Hmm.
both of them are wrong.
All right. So don't you think about one verse you are missing is the one where it mentions 50,000 years as well for one day. The angels
That is the
coming.
one I just
but
But there
mentioned,
are
and therefore
variations.
you
There are
missed.
variations. That's why I'm saying it's periods, eons instead of
If
days.
if we
Okay.
That's why I'm saying
ignore the
I,
quantitative mistake in the Quran, that how much and how long a day is, which it seems to disagree with itself anyways, and we grab at the 13.7 billion years of our
Mhm.
time as the total age of the universe,
Including
it
the
it
unobservable
it
universe.
it mentions it nowhere in the Quran that it
I,
should be around 13.7 billion years. It
I,
Uh,
mentions it
I
nowhere.
have
all right, Mubarak,
Salman.
you want
I have one point, Salman, about the
yeah,
ayah,
yeah.
number 10 and 41. So
41
you
minutes.
say 41:10.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
That's
say, wait a minute.
sure.
You said that the period, the two, if we divide the age of the universe on the age of Earth, we get the same period. So which means 2 days in the creation is about 2 billion years. Um, so it says that he
Mm-hmm.
created the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
and he put the blessing and the food in it in 4 days.
Yeah.
So is
Period.
so 4 days, 4 period, which
Yeah.
might mean that what, it's about 88
Future of
billions, eight
uh,
billions years. So Allah created Earth in what you said, 4 billion years, the age of the Earth, and then for 8 billion years or even more, he was just putting planet. That's even way worse than the age of Earth because it's expand beyond the age of the universe.
thank you for bringing this up, Mubarak. Thank you. Here's the
So the
point.
days doesn't count
I've
now or
actually,
what?
I've actually researched on this point as well. This is 4110. It mentions that the age, the sustenance for the tectonic plates. I will tell you why rather translate it as tectonic plates, not mountains. And I
Whose
will tell you
translation
how.
are you using?
His
I will tell
own.
you how. I will tell
His
you
own.
if you okay.
Oh, okay.
He's
Okay,
using his own understanding of
okay,
the.
let's not argue about something that doesn't even make any change in
It
our
does. It does because if you use the Arabic words rawasi, doesn't mean tectonic. It just means mountains.
you know why? You know the mountain, the word is jibal or tur or jabal in Quran.
Or Rasi.
Ravasi,
Hey, if you go to
actually
Saudi
means.
Arabia, if you go to Saudi
Hold
Arabia,
on.
you will find a mountain called
Let me answer you.
Ras Al Ajuz, which means the head of the old lady. It's a Rasi. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a word used in Arabic that means mountain. It's Rasi, and it's
All right.
used again in the Quran to refer to
Uh,
mountains.
all right. Settled.
It's
Have you
really
done?
there
Have you
isn't
done
much of
speaking,
a
or you
distinction.
want to speak more? Do you want to speak more on this point?
There isn't a whole lot of
See,
distinction
yeah.
between Jibal and Rawasi in the Arabic language. The,
Now the
pro,
word
the
Ravasi.
problem starts with
Can I speak?
the
Um,
assumptions that any of these protrusions of the earth are
yeah.
actually contributing to the stability of it.
All
They
right.
are not.
Now
Okay.
here's my
So
point. Here's
whatever
my,
they are, and they are Rawasi, they are not. Okay.
all right.
So
Here's my point
when
here.
you
Here's
go
my
there and you start to say
let
it is there to settle the earth down. Well, they don't.
Boraz, here's the point. Now I'll speak. Let me speak. Rawasi actually means anchorages, just as we, put an
It
anchorage to the
doesn't matter what the word means.
yeah,
Bogey,
The
okay.
claim is that they settled the earth is false.
right? Bogey. Bear in mind that there are three of us and
Yeah.
only one of him. So
Yes.
please let him speak as much as possible.
Yes.
Sure.
Unenviable
All right, so
position for
let me
sure.
speak, Boraz. All right, so I will talk about this that the Mubarak right now mentioned about 4 periods, and he wants to know what exactly Quran means by these 4 periods. If we are talking about 2 periods for Earth creation, which is 4.5 billion years, from where does this 4 period comes? That's the question.
But
And a
it
period,
doesn't. The creation
yeah,
of Earth is not 4.5 billion years.
creation of earth is not for, I give you that, but when the Quran was revealed, the earth's age at the
Made
time of
up, you mean,
revelation
not
was
revealed. Made up.
4.5, 4, or whatever you want to say. 4, you have the right to say whatever you want to say. 4.543 billion years is till the revelation of the Quran. We have the time period of earth as existing with the blessings and everything. So
So
they
you're saying
two periods,
you're
these
saying
two
that
periods.
how long it took to create you is how old you are?
Hold on, Aaron. Hold on. 2 periods till the creation, or not the creation, but till the Quran's revelation is what Earth was at the time of Quran revelation. 2 periods. Now I'm saying there is
How do
a
we know
future
this?
2 periods. There is a hold on, Boraz. There is a future 2 period mentioned in the Quran, making a total of 4 periods. You know why? Because sun's gonna die into a red giant in 4.5 billion years. So
How
Earth
long
will
is a period? And where does the Quran say this?
The period
didn't
is whatever you
didn't
want it to be,
didn't we find
as
didn't
long
we
as your
find the ratios?
numerology sets it that way.
Didn't we find the ratios here and find out that each of these periods is equal to 2.25 billion years according to the if
Where
we
does the Quran say this?
Quran doesn't say it, but you have been given a mind
Ah,
by God.
so on what?
You have been
What
given
evidence do
intellect
you
by
have?
God. You have been given mind by the God to
If
interpret
the
and
Okay, so
Quran didn't say
where
it,
did the
you can't read
God
it
tell
into
you
it.
this?
why would God tell you everything?
Why
Why
does
would
God not tell you anything? Yeah, I get it. That's my
no?
same problem.
We,
Why
see
does
that's
God
the thing.
never say a fucking thing that makes any sense or that is true?
We
But
have
you
been
are
given
making assertions. You're saying
all
you're
right.
stating things as fact. I want to know the data that you have that you base this on. How
Yeah.
long is a period? Where is the data that implies that that's how long a period is? Where did God explain that? And if God didn't explain that, then I'm not listening to God, am I? I'm listening to some other guy, right?
You are, but I'm a
Right. So
human
I'm
being,
listening to some
and
schmo
you are
who
a human
doesn't
being.
know.
We can make mistakes, right? You can make
Well,
mistake. I
yes,
can
you
make
can, and you've demonstrated that. But let me at least hear what your reasoning is for making these erroneous assumptions.
look, Aaron. Now we are talking about 4 periods that Mubarak pointed out. He wanted to know what are these 4 periods. I'm telling my version of what it is. Let me speak my version. You can then counter and we can debate on it if you want to. I am saying these 4 periods, God has blessed the earth, destined it. Destiny has to do with both past and future. Destiny is something that you have given to the earth. It's destined for 4 periods to survive with blessings. So I'm saying the earth first 2 periods plus future blessings equal 4 periods because the sun will die as a red giant in 4.5 billion years from now, which means the blessings will be eradicated at that time. And isn't sun the biggest blessing on the earth? It is.
Did
Okay.
I miss something important?
Just 1 minute. I know you pick and choose in your translation because you have omitted a point, a word in the Quran and this ayah when it talks about rawasi, and it
Mhm.
says it's rawasi on top of earth.
Yes. Aren't
Okay.
they, aren't
Okay.
tectonic
Wait,
plates
just a
on the
minute.
top of
Just a
the earth?
minute.
Aren't they on the
And
top of
then
the
what?
aren't the tectonic plates on the top of the earth? I'm asking you. You tell me.
No,
Where are they?
they are within the earth
No, they are
because
on the
it's
top. The
No, they are
no, they're
lithosphere,
not.
not.
the
They're
lithosphere,
not. They are within.
the
When you
crust and the inner, the crust and the outer mantle make up what is called lithosphere. Lithosphere
what
is on the top
what
of
do
the earth.
when you say on top, you mean it's on top, or do you
That's your
mean there's
definition.
stuff because there's still stuff on top of it too?
That's
Okay,
your
so what you're
definition.
saying then? Let
There
me
is
make
my
sure I
car.
understand this.
There is my car on the top of it as well. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Okay,
prove
let me
anything.
make sure I understand this. So
Prove
when the Quran says that God put mountains on the earth as placeholders to make sure that it doesn't move, and you're acknowledging that the lithosphere, well, you should acknowledge, because this is the fact, the lithosphere moves under the mountains. So the mountains are on top and the lithosphere is below, but the lithosphere continues to move and the mountains sort of float on it because the mountains don't stop shit. So the Quran got wrong both of those things.
And then the Quran is talking in a past tense, and you're trying to use it for the future.
You know why? You know why? God sees both past and future. That's
But
Of
you
course,
don't see
of
either
course.
one, and
Of
you're the one we're
course.
talking to.
Listen, doesn't God know about the past and the future in the version of Islam? He does.
No.
No, it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
He is
That's,
doing.
the,
I tell
that's
you what.
one of the problems, is that God does not know the past, does not know the present, and has no way of predicting the future in the Quran.
Isn't the 4 periods mentioned for the earth blessing a prediction?
Look, you
No,
can buy.
because-
You can
because-
buy. Wait a second. You can buy a chocolate cake from Walmart. Okay, split it into 4 quarters, and now you got 4 cakes. It's arbitrary. What you're doing is an arbitrary argument. I can slap it up to 16 pieces. So what next?
All right, if that's so, let's talk about why then all these figures match, not just 2 verses. Not I'm not only stuck with these 2. I'm not stuck with these 50, 38, and 41. I'm not stuck to these 2. I can also talk about 41:9 and 41:12.
But can you concede where you failed with the first ones?
Why, Aaron? It's not.
Why?
it's
If you've made a
not-
mistake, if you tried to present
what
an
is the
argument
mistake? Okay, tell me
and
the
your
mistake.
argument
Why
failed,
it's a mistake.
if you tried to present an argument for your case and that argument failed, before you move on to the next one, you should acknowledge the first one failed. When you say,
How?
well, I have other examples, okay, fine, just acknowledge the first one failed and then move on to fail the next one.
Same question. What if I ask you the same question? Haven't you failed yourself by not acknowledging Quran and its future period?
No, I have not failed myself. The Quran has failed, and I have proof of that, and I can support that much better than you can, your argument.
If that's so, what about
Yeah,
this
that
one?
is so, and that's demonstrable.
And if so, then age of the earth as we speak was 2 periods. How come Quran
Yeah,
is
but the
also
age of the
about
earth
2
was not 2 periods.
It
So
doesn't talk about the age
problem
of
with
the
your
earth. It talks about
conclusions-
creation of earth.
yeah, the problem with your conclusions is that they're all based on false premises. And then you have this other logical fallacy wherein you have this confirmation bias, where you just simply refuse to acknowledge anywhere where you've been wrong, and you've been wrong everywhere so far.
No, but here's the thing.
Oh, but here's the thing.
Why you're not acknowledging that the word periods that I mentioned has any relevance or any doesn't it make you doubt what I'm saying is true?
Wait. Let me see if I understand your question. The fact that there are no 2 periods that we can discuss right now, and the fact that your mention of the 2 periods is completely irrelevant. I'm failing to acknowledge that you've made completely irrelevant assumptions based on nothing. No, I do acknowledge that you've made irrelevant assumptions based on nothing. I fully acknowledge that. I haven't failed.
All right, but if
41, 9,
let's
9
say
and 41, 9 and 10 are not in harmony.
okay,
Just
let's say
to
I
start
am
you there.
absolutely wrong till now.
And then
You want
he
to
goes
hear-
on to 49:11, since
If you
you are
want to
going.
hear, Aaron, if you want to hear that I want to acknowledge and that I am failed and it's not correct, the word periods or days or the mention of six and the two and the ratios that match with Quran, the science.
But they
If you
don't.
if you think they don't, if you think they don't, then explain to me why then
Okay,
for the
I
planets,
asked
why
you.
then
I
for the
asked you.
planet, why then for
I
the planet,
okay.
why for
I
the
asked you
why
how
for
you
the
know.
yeah.
I mean, you told me that a period is 2 point something million years. How do you know? And you didn't say. How do you know? How do we know? Because you said it's obvious, even though it's not even apparent. Nobody else has seen it. You think it's obvious.
It's
Where is
simple.
your data that indicates this?
It's simple maths. If you divide 13.7 with 6, you're going to get 2.25.
Okay,
That's
so you
simple.
don't have any data that implies that there should be two periods of any distance.
Two periods would mean 4.5 billion years,
Oh,
which is what the
so
age
you're
of
just
the
going to
Earth
take
is.
you're just going to take a given age and misinterpret that as a period of creation, and then after you make the first mistake in doing that, you're then
Hmm.
just going to divide those, and whatever number you come up with, you're going to arbitrarily say that that's the number. So the Quran doesn't say that. God doesn't say that. You're just using bad math.
So we have our brain. Why have God given us brain if He wants
I
to
don't know.
Why
if
did
Right?
God
I
not
don't know.
exist?
if
God
He
didn't
wants
give
to
us a
say
brain. Our
everything
brain,
clear and
our brain
succinctly,
gave
if He wants to
God.
do everything for you, what are you here for then?
I don't
Excuse
know
me.
why God gave us brains, because the moment we use them, we go to hell.
Yeah, the moment we use our brain,
That
God disappears.
that's because you don't believe in the mercy of God. You're just
No, I
gonna
don't believe in
I
the
don't. Look,
savagery of
I,
God.
I,
I don't
I
believe in anything of God, but God, you can't say that God is merciful. Any being, any fictional imaginary being that made up this fictional imaginary hell to punish people who don't buy into utter bullshit, who don't credulously believe complete lies without reason. Yeah, I'm fully justified in not believing in such a God. You can't call that merciful. Somebody that would torture people forever and
eternity, for one
ever,
eternity.
not even for a crime, but for the non-crime, the thing we should praise people for, of not buying into stupid lies for no good reason. That's what your God punishes people for being too smart to believe liars.
And you are calling somebody merciful who is willing to burn your skin off until your nerve endings cook, and
But
then
how about
recreate your skin again so that you feel the pain again, just for the ultimate crime of not believing. That
Yep.
is a wicked creature. That's not a merciful one.
Yeah, and
well,
if there really was a God, there
okay.
wouldn't be a hell. If there really
That
wasn't God, if there really was a God, we wouldn't need faith to believe in it. If there really was a God, it wouldn't punish people when it's the God's fault we don't believe in it.
if God is at fault, let's say, okay,
If
if God
God
is at fault,
exists, you're just going to have to make this. Let's do this. Let's be
let's
fair, and
let's.
let's compare two options or two hypotheses.
Hmm.
God, whatever you want to say about God, okay, on one side, and then there is no damn God. God is an imaginary character that people made up. That's the other hypothesis. Let's compare those hypotheses.
Hmm. See, the thing is, in Quran, it's clearly
Ah,
said.
the thing
It
is, there we
it
go.
in
There's the
it
thing.
it's mentioned in the Quran that unless the truth is relevant revealed to you, unless that happens, there is no punishment for you. So it's
You know,
not
it
like
says
that
something similar in the Bhagavad Gita, right?
yeah, but every religion that I know of doesn't just start punishing people here and there, Tom, Dick, and Harry. No, it doesn't work
Yeah, they
that way.
do.
But once it is
Yeah.
clear to you that it is true, 100%, and then still you want to deny it just
But
out of
it's not
no,
true. It's demonstrably false over
but
and over and over and over again.
that is a realization that only can happen to people who are after the truth, who are truth lovers, truth seekers. I'm not saying
Yep.
that you are not. I'm not saying that. But
Okay.
it's understanding that there are some gems in this word of God. There are things that make sense. six
Okay, well,
periods
it's not
for
the word of
six
God.
periods, six
It's
periods
not
for
the word
the
of God.
2 periods
It's not the
for
word
the
of God.
earth,
It's the word of
uh,
men. It's the word
two
of
periods
men
for the
pretending
earth,
to speak
four
for God.
periods. All right, Aaron, let's stay
Yeah.
on the topic now. Let's come back to the topic. Let's say okay. What about a multi-level of proofs here? I'm not saying one thing. I'm saying different things.
Wait.
Now here,
Multi-level of proofs. You mean
hold on.
the empty warehouse of vacuity, the donut, the nothing that you've provided so far? That's your multi-level of proofs?
Let the audience decide that. All right. Universe was
Okay, I think
six
they already
periods.
have.
Universe was 6 periods. Earth was two
Except that it
periods.
was
How
one
about
of
the
these six
planets?
except
periods.
except when you
Why
read
is Quran? Why is
the
Quran
40
why is Quran
Salman
saying
Salman
yeah?
Salman, except when you read 41, you count the numbers of days or period in the thing, and it comes up to more than six. Even the Quran cannot keep the math. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to
yeah,
tell you, Allah
yeah,
was
yeah,
failed
yeah,
math.
yeah. So okay, Mubarak, I know your argument. I
If
can
you
explain.
want, if
I
you
can
want,
explain. You
no,
are
no,
not
no,
even letting
just
me
wait,
speak. See, that's the thing. You have asked me a
Salman.
question. You
Wait,
have
wait a s-
listen, Boraz. I'm not listening to three people at one time while I'm speaking. Nobody wants to hear first. First, let me hear me out. I'm single here, right? I'm all alone talking here. Let me first speak my point. You have asked a very good question. Let me address that. I will reply you. Whether you believe it or not, or whether you accept it as valid, is another thing. You just mentioned that 41:9 to 12 mentions 8-day creation, and the verse 50:38 mentions 6-day creation. So, how do you explain this, Salman? That's your question. Now, let me answer that. Okay. 41:9 till 41:12 mentions these 8 periods because there is there is a link. You know the 2 periods are of the future here. Listen,
No,
these
it's not.
listen. Equally
please,
four
please,
periods. No, listen. I told you to listen.
Salman. No,
I haven't
I'm
completed.
reading it on my
I
screen
I have
here.
not
Okay.
completed. Excuse me. Listen, 4 periods it's mentioned, and I already told you these 2 periods are future blessings. So we have counted all 6 periods till creation, and there are 2 more periods that will come in the future, which makes it 8 periods. So it seems like you have a point, but if you do the maths, as Aaron is saying that I'm making empty points or talking in a vacuum, I'm actually telling you this is actually relevant here. 2 periods are of the future. If you don't
Yeah,
count them as
yeah.
creation, then it's all already for 6 periods.
Okay,
Can
but then I have to say, Salman, you stand against the whole Arabic language because you cannot use past tense to indicate future. You understand that? You
I
cannot
don't
say
understand that.
I made it in 4 days and then say no, it means that I am making it. If I
You
go to
know,
my boss, if I go
yeah,
to my boss and tell him that I finished my job but I'm still working on it, I
yeah.
did not finish it. If
Okay,
he
if
said,
you go to
if the
your
Quran
boss,
says I have blessed it for 4 days or in 4 days and it's still blessing, it doesn't work.
Mubarak, you are making very good points here, and I would rather say no offense to Boraz or Aaron, but this is the guy I want to speak next for all the debates. To be honest, I'm so sorry if you feel offended. Now, here's the thing, Mubarak, you are making a very valid point. Let's say I go to the office and I say I have destined two days for this work. Will that mean that these 2 days are all in the past? I have destined it. I have said a past tense, but it's a destiny. And it's speaking about destiny, this verse. It's not
But it's
talking about.
not. It's not because it speaks about multiple things. So if I said to my boss, I have decided that I'm gonna work for 4 days, and I finished this, and I have done my paperwork, and I have done this and did it for 4 days. And did it in 4 days. I have already finished it in 4 days. Doesn't mean that I have that I still have 2 more days to go through. You know.
What if?
Listen, if you go to
What
your
if?
boss,
This is
if you use the word destined, and if you say, I have 2 periods for it destined to do, I want to do it in 2 periods, these are 2 periods I want to do it, this will include probably the past day that you did some work and probably a future date that you will do.
Yeah,
It
the
it
word
will need,
destined, the word destined is from you. It's not
yeah,
in the
but
Arabic word.
it's decreed, destined. You can check out any translation of the Quran. It is there. Any translation, I guarantee you, it's word. This word is mentioned there. It's a past tense, but it's for destiny, destined, decreed.
And then if I say I have decreed in 4 days, that means I have didn't done it in 4 days. It doesn't mean
Yes,
I
I,
have
I
it
will say,
doesn't mean wait, it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
mean that I for 4 days I have blessed you.
I have destined the earth for 4 days. Let's talk about me. Let's for a second think that I am God. Let's say I have destined this earth for 2 more days. All right, what it would mean? Wouldn't
What
it
it
mean
would mean is we will never discover
it would mean
starlifting and the sun will explode in 4 billion years.
yeah,
Nice, nice, but that is not destined. Okay? That is not destined. And in a billion
the
years,
blessing.
you're going to have to revise that prediction
Mm,
because you're going to have to, because you're adjusting what fact is to what is in the Quran. And you can always do that. It works every time. I mean, but the Bible guys that done it too, right?
all right,
You're not the first who does this
so
pony show. The
so
problem
that
is this is not how you arrive at a truth. This is something that you wrap around like an aluminium foil around the banana you have. It's still a banana, but now it's square and it's shiny, but it's
uh,
still a banana inside.
you are free to say anything. I'm not gonna say the same
No,
things,
the
but
problem is here
yeah, I want you to
you
say
are
this in my own.
saying the Quran says this, and you already acknowledge that the Quran doesn't say these numbers because the Quran doesn't know these numbers.
This is
That's why you have to step in and help God with it, because God was really not at the top of his game
all right.
1400 years ago.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so blessings here it is blessings which are destined for 4 periods. So it is blessings on the earth. Wasn't earth blessed the moment the first sign of bacteria came
It's
up?
it's not
First
blessing.
bacteria
It's not blessing.
came.
What it said. Let me say. It said wabaraka fiha, and he blessed it. It's a past tense. And then I have measured the days for it. It does not mean it's constant going. It stopped after 4 days. He did all the work in 4 days and he's done. He handed the papers and he just waiting for the money to come in, and that's all he did. You
Yeah.
cannot, Salman, you cannot use Arabic and try to butcher it like this. It pains me when you do that.
4111, he
Okay,
finished and he sat on his chair.
Mubarak, I want to talk to you for a while about this. Since we mentioned about 4 days, which some of the translations of words for this, you said it's not conjunct, not in one straight sentence. It's broken. The blessing is the other thing, and then it says 4 periods decree or destiny. Let's say that you are right. Then explain to me how come Quran mentions that 4112, it says so he completed the 7 classical planets in 2 periods. The same 2 periods it took for the earth is what it takes for other planets, and we can see it. You can Google anytime you want: age of moon, age of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Sun, Jupiter, Saturn. They are 4.53 to 4.6 billion years as well.
Do you
Again,
want me? Do you want me to tell you that
you can.
whoever wrote the Quran did not understand the age of planet, and he thought the planets were made different from Earth because Earth is something flat underneath them, which is separate from the planets. That's why they had a separate days for them. That's why Allah made the flat earth, and then he spent 4 days working on it, making all the blessing and putting everything on it, put little trees and mountains on top of it, and then he went and did the heavens. And yeah, in the heavens, in the why is it seven? It's because the planet but it fails beyond that because when it talks about it being tabaqat, it fails.
Tabaka
Because
means layers.
yeah, you cannot. It's not layered. You understand that
Do you
because
understand? Do you
it's
understand the Ptolemaic model? Have you read about it? The Ptolemaic
yeah,
model.
and it's wrong. You understand that it's
Yeah.
wrong. So the
Don't the
Quran is wrong.
isn't the Ptolemaic model very
Is it
clear
wrong or is it
about?
right? Is it wrong or is it right?
No, are these not in
Is
layers?
it wrong or is it
No,
right?
it's not
No,
layers.
can you see the screen right now? Can you see it?
Yeah, and it's wrong.
It's
Yeah,
wrong.
it's wrong. It's wrong, but it is
So the
Noah who
Quran is
is speaking.
wrong.
It's Noah who is speaking in this verse. It's not God.
So
That's
Noah
the
is,
point.
wait. So Noah is either a liar because he knows the truth and is hiding it, or he's wrong.
No, he is speaking based on the signs of the days.
Astaghfirullah. Man,
Allah
He is
approved.
how could you say
he
something about the prophet saying that he's a liar?
he is speaking based
God,
on the signs of his days.
God
Okay, wait a minute.
Geological.
approves.
Please,
God approves of what Noah says.
yes.
Therefore, he
Otherwise, he
repeats
wouldn't
it to
mention it.
Muhammad. Otherwise, Muhammad wouldn't know.
Regardless, how
No,
come
it's
seven
not regardless. It's not regardless. The reason it's mentioned is as a proof used by Muhammad under the tongue of using the tongue of Noah, that as a proof that is God created, Allah created all this miracle and all those stuff, all those planets. So it's not just Noah, and we have to talk to them and to those pyramid people that they didn't know anything
but
except talking to them about their models.
but disbelievers in those times would not understand anything other than what they already know.
That
That the
doesn't
signs
Then
of
matter.
those
why
days.
talk to
That
them?
doesn't matter.
There's signs of those days that he is explaining. That
He
okay,
could have
regardless
explained it.
how
Let me
can
say,
you explain? Can you
no,
explain?
no, no, no. He
No,
could have
Mubarak.
said,
Quran.
he could have said that he gave you plant that you could eat. He gave you animal that you harvest. He gave you the sun. He didn't have to talk about 7 layers. He didn't have to talk. That's all of it. Just added addition to the wrong idea.
If so, just I'm asking you this question: how is the seven classical planets is also having two periods? Just explain me.
They
If Quran
don't.
is false,
You
how
bring
does
it
it
up
know? How does it know so many things?
because
It
it
doesn't.
doesn't.
It doesn't know.
Because it
It knows.
doesn't.
It
No, it
knows, my
doesn't.
friend, right on your face. It knows. Age of planets, two periods. Age of Earth, two periods. Age of universe, 6 periods. Future blessings for the Earth, including the past, is 4 periods. It's already saying these things, which
But
we
How
none
do
cannot.
you
of this
explain
is
the fact that the Quran
correct.
got all of those things wrong?
Aaron, what's your point here?
My
Yeah,
point is the
because I
Quran
tell
got
you
all of
what.
those things wrong. You're claiming them as proof that it's right, but there aren't these two periods that you're talking about don't exist. You got all of that wrong. All of it.
2 periods or 2 days, 6 periods
How long is a
or
period?
days, whatever you want
How
to call
long is a
them.
period?
I am talking about numbers here. How they're
Right. And
Right.
so
We
give
are
me a
talking
number.
about
How
numbers
long is a
and
too.
period?
why the numbers are matching exactly. Why it's not 5 days? Why it
But you
is
don't give me
exactly the
any
ratio
data
is
to
going to
imply your
matching every
assumption.
time. Every time it is
You're
matching.
simply taking numbers that we didn't know until somewhere in the 20th century, and then you're dividing them by 2. And you don't even understand what you're doing. And then you're claiming that the Quran got that right when the people who wrote the Quran had no clue about that. They
If
wouldn't
that,
even know what you were talking about. So
if
why
that's
did
so,
the Quran
let's
get absolutely every one of these things wrong?
all right. If that's so, if somebody wrote the Quran, then how do you explain 41:11? It says clearly, moreover, he directed towards the sky while it was smoke, solar nebula, saying to it and to the earth,
Wait,
come
the
willingly
Quran,
or
Surah
unwillingly.
41 talks
11.
about
41:11.
nebula.
41:11 talks about a smoke, dukhan. That is exactly the description we get from science, the cloud
Wait
or
a second.
smoke. The
That is
word is
Then he
actually not
turned to the
correct.
sky, which was smoke. He said to it and the earth, come into being willingly or not.
No.
And
He already finished.
they said, the what is it? The sky said, and the earth. The sky said, "We come willingly," and the earth, a clump of dirt, said, "We will come willingly." And in 2 days, he formed 7 heavens, which we know doesn't exist, and assigned an order to each. And we have made the nearest one beautifully illuminated and secure, such is the design of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. And you believe this bullshit. You believe
All
that
right.
the sky
Hmm.
talked.
Was smoke. After was smoke, and God sat on it after he created the earth and the planets.
Where it is
After,
said.
right?
Where,
That's
where
what you
I can't
say.
find.
That's
I
what
can't
11
find.
says, that he finished creating the earth
Yeah,
with
and
its
so now I just want to
mountains and
clarify
its
this. So
rivers.
God,
No,
God,
no.
a magic imaginary man, spoke to a clump of dirt and rock and said, "Come into existence, willingly or not." And then the clump of dead material spoke in response and said, "I will come into existence willingly." But don't I already exist because you're talking to me?
Aaron,
How do you
let's
believe such incredible
Aaron,
insanity?
listen,
How does
Aaron.
anybody believe
Aaron,
this? Even in the
Aaron,
7th century, this was too stupid to buy into. How do you buy into it now?
Aaron, let me explain myself here. 41:11 says moreover, summa. Now, then is the translation for summa. It is not necessarily then. It is and moreover then, based on the context. Moreover will mean that God didn't finish the earth first and came to the heavens. He actually finished the earth along with the planets, 7 planets,
Wait,
because there
so
was
God
a
finished the
nebula.
earth. God finished the
God,
and where
God
does
didn't
where
finish the
wait,
earth.
where does the Quran say that God created the earth in any kind of equality with the other planets?
All right, that's 41:9. It says first, do you really disbelieve in He who created the earth in 2 periods? After
Yes, I
that,
do.
after
Yes,
that, it
I
says,
do.
moreover, He directed towards the sky. It doesn't mean then He directed
No,
towards the
because you're
sky.
missing 10. He
Yeah, 10,
created
10,
in it
10.
the
Yeah, blessing
mountains and
and
the puddles, right?
tectonic plates.
Yes, and he
Mountains came
finished
later.
all of that. And he finished all of that. Thumma istawa ala sama. Then
Yeah,
he went up to the heavens and sat on it, well, on his chair or whatever.
all right.
And the sama was dukhan, which
Yeah,
means the pre-accretion period at which neither the earth nor the planets actually existed. And then he called on them to come and join him, which they haven't formed yet. So
mhm,
this thing even contradicts the other two, even if we try to apply anything we know at all on them.
mhm.
These 3 verses contradicted each other right here in front of your screen.
All right, you're saying that 41:10 in the middle, I missed, which mentions the blessings for the earth started on the tectonic plates, which is like 4 billion years ago, and then God jumped toward the planets. You want to say that? Like, you want
Nah,
to.
I don't want to say that. I said he finished this. He finished 10,
And
And,
let's
and
the
he
reason
clarify.
why.
created, and the
No, no,
Bogey,
you're
mountains
saying is
are
that you're
accreted.
translating the word summa as
let's
then.
clarify something else. Bogey is not saying that God did anything ever. God is an
No, I don't.
imaginary character
Yeah.
made up by people. God had nothing to do with any of these cosmological beginnings, if you want to call it that.
I'm just trying to describe the mental image of these verses one after the other in temporal order. I'm
Mhm,
not insinuating that God did it. I'm
mhm.
just saying these verses contradict each other, and
Yeah.
doing
So,
doesn't
so
work like that.
we are able to compare two hypotheses. Now, we have what science understands, which does not involve a God at all. And then
Mhm.
we have what various collections of man-made mythology say, one of them being the Quran, which says a lot of ridiculous things that can't be paired up with reality at all. And you are going to try to defend those. Now, we are able to compare the real science and the mythology, and you apparently are consigned only to the mythology. You can't also consider the alternate, which is that there never was a God. God is entirely imaginary, and there were not periods of creation. You need to be able to weigh both of these and see which is better supported.
Aaron, in response to your statement here, I am concerned why the numbers are there. Let's forget about days and periods. The
What numbers?
6, 4, 2, 2 for Earth, 2
Because
for
it was
planet,
written by people who didn't know
6,
what they were talking
6
about.
for universe, and 4 for blessings of the earth. All these numbers are scientifically making sense.
Except that they don't. They
Why?
don't at all.
Why there is no 7 or 8 for the earth and for the universe a 16 or a 15? Why there is no 13 for
Yeah, but
planet?
give me that first question again.
Why all these numbers make a ratio that is matching to all these bodies?
Because they're all very
Universe-
simple numbers made up by very simple people.
Yeah, very simple people and
Okay.
very smart people who already
Except
knew
that they're not
science
smart at all
prior.
because they bought into a completely credulous line of bullshit,
why did it-
which
so
you
why
still
they
buy
didn't-
into for some strange reason.
Why
you-
they
you
didn't
can't
brought in
defend.
all the wrong bits from other culture? Why they didn't read the story of Enki separating the sky and the earth? Why it's not mentioned in the Quran?
They kind of did. Because
They
the
did because
the
when
Mesopotamian mythology is what birthed Judaism. Judaism made some changes to it, made it their own. Then Christianity comes along, they made some changes to Judaism. Then Islam came along and they made some changes to Christianity. And that's how you get this corruption upon corruption upon corruption.
And that is the beauty of Quran, that is not changed.
That is the hideous ugliness of Quran.
No,
Yeah,
that
That is
and
a
the
corruption
problem-
of a
the-
corruption of a corruption of
is
something
the
that was
beauty.
made up out of whole
is the
cloth
beauty.
with
That is
no
the beauty.
factual basis whatsoever.
Here's
Let,
the
let me let me tell you something, Salman. Let me tell you something. Again, it doesn't talk about when you say why it doesn't say anything about the creation of Earth being from a cloth or whatever, but it does when it say we're gonna it talks about it when they were one cloth and they actually separated the cloth. So you cannot say it doesn't mention it. It does.
Yeah, so the solar nebula, the whole cloud, the center was the sun. The sun was formed at the center because of the center of gravity, and all the planets, the gaseous planets, were at the borders because it's lighter gas, and the rocky ones formed in closer to the sun. And this is how actually the solar nebula transformed into planets. Angular momentum was a key factor.
Then why
There were
doesn't the Quran describe that?
you want God to do all your work, right?
No. I want God to not get everything wrong, like the Quran get everything wrong. Why does God not get one damn thing right ever? Why does nobody that read this in the 7th century or the 10th century or the 15th century, why did nobody understand this in a way that makes sense with 21st century science? Why did God utterly fuck all of that up? Or here's the alternate hypothesis. The reason the Quran got absolutely everything wrong is because it was made by people who didn't know what the fuck.
Aaron, if that's so, how is it making these numbers so accurate?
You making these numbers. You making
You
these
made the
numbers.
numbers. You made the numbers.
How does the Quran not have any of these numbers you made up? Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a question you should
There is
ask
a word
yourself.
sutta. There is a
Why
word
are those
sutta.
numbers not in the Quran?
And then-
Why are we playing ratios here?
Yeah.
There is
Why didn't the Quran talk when it talks about the earth, a creation of earth? Why didn't it say simultaneously or somewhere else in the universe? Like when you read the novel, they were like in the other place this was happening, but it doesn't. And when you say thumma is moreover, that is totally wrong. It's totally utterly wrong.
All right. Have you read any of the Arabic poetries yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't you see those Arabic poetries also using summa for moreover? Can I
No.
give examples?
Give us example.
All right, so I have a whole page dedicated to it, to it on one of my websites. I'll give it the I'll give the link to you. You can look
Give me
over.
an example right now.
Right now, on the top of my head, I don't have it, but there is already in the lexicon. You can find summa for all three, and then and moreover. Can't you? You can find
No.
these. You don't find this.
You don't find this, and it's easy, as easy as just translate it, put it in a translator and try to translate them and see what comes up.
That is one good thing. I would recommend you do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, moreover doesn't show
Ignore
up.
all the other synonyms. Don't ignore all the other meanings because
Yeah, it doesn't show up.
yeah,
Do
but
you want me to tell you what shows up?
what shows up?
Just a minute. Google translation.
Let's do it.
Okay, we put Thumma in the Arabic side and see what comes up in English.
hmm
Then,
And and
then
hmm
another. There's two. It comes
another
then another. Another doesn't mean when I tell you it doesn't mean moreover.
another means another statement, is it not?
So when I tell you I did this in 2 days, another I did this in 2 days. Does it
hmm
mean I did them at the same 2 days? No.
Uh, no, but here
And
it's
then
saying.
one thing you forget about thumma.
hmm
Thumma indicate time.
hmm
The thumma indicate passing of time. So if I tell you in Arabic,
hmm
I made water, thumma I drink it, which means there is time between them.
There is a temporal succession in Summa. So
Yes.
event number one is done. It's done. It's finished. Summa event number two happens. Right. It's like the internal combustion engine. You get the different phases of the internal combustion engine. The first one, Summa. The second one, Thumma, then you get the ignition, and Thumma you get the exhaust, right? So I probably butchered it, but you get the point. These events are one after the other.
To look in
Okay.
the lexicon. Thank you for pointing out. I will
Well,
see.
you can fix the lexicon after this, because if it's not saying this, is broken.
Yeah, of course I won't. Of course I won't. All right. So another thing is that in the verse 21:30, it says, "Do the disbelievers not realize that the classical planets and Earth were one connected entity, solar nebula? Then we separated them, and we created from water every living thing. Will they not then believe?" Now
No,
the
because
what I
this is
want
coming. This is coming from the previous verses where وَخَلَقْنَا, whatever, رَزْقًا وَفَتَقْنَا. Mubarak brought it up.
yeah,
He
but
created the whole thing in one lump. This is a different time scale
no,
if
no,
you
but
want to try to fit it. You're roboting again. You are roboting again. You are roboting again.
Boraz.
Yay, we're back online again.
That's perfect, Boraz. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
And Mubarak, can you?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So, Aaron, I'm not going to ask you.
And you're roboting again.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Still roboting, Salman.
Yep, you're roboting very badly.
How about now? Something
It's
better?
better now. I don't know what happened. Now it's good.
Oh, perfect, Boraz. Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah.
Boraz, my point here is, see, you just made a point here about this verse not making any sense.
The moment he want to say his point, it just goes into robotic.
Oh, okay.
God doesn't want us to be enlightened, clearly.
Uh,
He's making it hard to hear for us the
That's
obvious shining truth.
that's what amuses me so much about the way the Quran constantly repeats how clear it is. It's
I mean,
so
if it was
clear
clear, yeah.
that there's all these different translations that don't agree with each other, and it's so clear that tafsirs and hadiths and imams disagree with each other as to what it says.
it's so clear that it took Salman what about 1400 years to get us the true answer. Like, thank God that he comes by and give us the true answer, because before that, all those Muslims did not have the true answer.
We would be totally lost in darkness.
And that's the problem when you don't.
We can't hear
we
you.
still cannot hear you. I don't know what you're doing, Salman.
Right. Hold on. I want someone to know what we hear. That's what we hear.
Aaron, you're roboting again.
Okay. It doesn't look like we're going to get much more of this.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. What did you do to fix that?
I don't understand, man. I think it's something to do with the internet in Dubai. I don't know.
Must be the
Okay.
4 periods.
All right. So we were here. Can you hear me now? Perfect, right?
Yes,
Yes.
I hear you perfect now.
All right. So right now, Boraz was making a point that these verses can't be talking about Big Bang, and I concede that they are not. They are actually talking about solar system creation.
Except that they're not.
No, so you
They're
know
not
why,
even
Arun? You know why? Because the mention of water is there. Now, water was a molecule that was the molecule, the hydrogen and the oxygen. They were
Do you
formed.
think anybody that was writing the Quran had any idea that water was hydrogen and oxygen?
We'll see. Well, we'll see. Let the audience
Will
decide.
we? When will we see?
We will see
How?
once you hear me out. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So,
Which
firstly,
verse? Which surah do I need to look up to find out
you
what
have
it
to,
really says?
okay, you have to look for 2130
21. I'm looking for Surah 21. Okay, go ahead.
and 30 verse number. So the reason I'm saying this also is the
Did you
verse
say
that
21:30?
2130. The reason that I'm saying that this verse is talking about solar system and not Big Bang is the mention of water, which came later, because we know that the hydrogen and the oxygen were the elements that were formed in the sun's in the stars' burning stages, much later after the Big Bang. The only things that were during the Big Bang were hydrogen and helium, not
Okay, hold
oxygen.
on a second. Hold on a second. Are the disbelievers not aware that the heavens and the earth used to be joined together and that
Mhm,
we ripped them apart, that we
mhm,
made every living thing from water? Will they not believe? So let
mhm.
me clarify that. So the heavens and the earth and the sky over the earth used to be the same thing. and then they ripped them apart. So now there's air between the earth and the solid firmament of the sky.
I have to say that the words used here are talking about a cloth. That when you talk about ratq and fataq, that means it's talking about a cloth. And guess what civilization before the Arab had the idea? Are the ancient Mesopotamian. The cloth that was ripped and made the universe. It's ancient Mesopotamian mythology. Yeah, it's an old game of telephone, so they didn't get the whole story, but they got the main point that they were made of a cloth that been ripped. And then you talk as if the word wow, the active wow in the sentence acting as a time period, but it isn't. Again, you use the one that indicate time for not indicating time, and the one that does not indicate passing of time to indicate time. You swap in Arabic letters and language.
Where? Tell me exactly where.
Uh, when it says in Anbiya 20:30, okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and it says وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ, and we have made everything alive from the water. Okay, come
Mm-hmm.
alive from the water. That doesn't indicate time. It just indicates the fact that we have made it become alive.
So where I'm saying it's time, where is the time mentioned here?
Because you said it cannot indicate the universe, as have to indicate space, because you have to indicate the solar system, because it's the water coming into it.
So that's the point here. I'm saying that this is solar system story. This is the whole
No,
creation
no,
story.
no, no. Yes, I was just repeating what you said, and what you said is wrong. Do you understand,
How?
Salman?
Explain how. No, I don't. I don't. Sorry, Mubarak. So far, you have been
Okay,
right
so
on.
when the sentence says that Allah created the samawat, they
Uh-huh.
were they were they were one cloth, and they pardoned it, they cut it apart,
Mm-hmm.
and He have created the water, created everything from water.
Yeah.
That doesn't indicate it's the universe or the solar system. It
No.
just indicate like it's a high note of things. So basically, what's because if you read what's going on after that, it's
Mm-hmm.
just God, Allah has given high note of what He did. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like an abuser talking to his victim and telling him, "I gave you this, I did you this, I gave you this, and I gave you this." So it's not any indication about the universe. You understand that?
I sort of understand what you're trying to say, but don't these two verses, 41:11 and 21:30, clearly say that earth was present at that time and there was water at that time, which means we know through
There's no
imagination.
indication of time.
No, but here's the thing. We know
Here's the
through
thing.
science. We know through science that Earth came later in the time scales of the universe. We know that. Can't we use that knowledge to understand this verse clearly? Are we going to
No.
play
So
hide and
even
seek and
even
say, "Oh, we don't. We still want to stick to the
no,
definitions, old
no,
translators."
because I you cannot use an understanding of today and pass it on the history of like on the history. It's
If
a very because at that moment you have to take like you take the knowledge we have today and pass it on the past. Like you understand that. So when something is not correct today, then it should be not correct then.
so,
And if something is correct today, is correct then.
the thing with the God's word is that since he is God, he made some statements in a book which people are gonna realize after spending some time on it.
Yeah.
It's not
Uh,
like that you're gonna born. Imagine a baby coming out and thinking he knows everything. The baby doesn't know everything. He has to learn, right? So once you learn things, in the same way, the whole of humanity is learning things. Once they learn things, they will make more sense of it, of what it actually means. Why
but
this?
That's why we come
Why
away
this?
from religion.
Why?
That's why we
Why
stopped
my
reading the
version?
Quran.
Why
You
my
see,
yeah,
understanding is wrong and yours is right? Explain me that.
That's why
Because your
1400
understanding
years
of
later,
Arabic
we're
is
still
very.
stuck with this.
I'm sorry to tell you, your understanding of Arabic is poor, and it's twisting words and indicating things that does not mean what it means. When you tell me days doesn't mean days, and when when an indicator of a time passing doesn't indicate time passing, I have to tell. Don't you go? It's period. It's not days. It's yomain. Yomain means 2 days. It doesn't
Right,
mean two periods. If you
right.
read it in Arabic, it says 2 days because we have an indication of period called waqt. Okay, that's mean time. And if you
Yeah.
want period, you could say as much as you want.
All right, but we have
It-
already debated this a lot already, so I'm not gonna go back and
and
tell
you
you.
didn't give a satisfactory answer
You don't
to
want to get
indicate anything.
satisfied. What do I do? I already told you there are verses in the Quran which mentions days as very large periods, like
And
10,000 or
I
50.
already told you those
Why
those
can't
days they
why can't
explain
these days be
they
2.25 billion
explain.
years plus?
Let me talk. I already told you in those ayat the Quran make an exception because if it doesn't make an exception, it wouldn't have the explanation there. He would have said the day of God and that's it, rather than saying the day of God equals 10,000 years.
Hmm.
Why did he said what kind of miqdaru? And it didn't say it just is. It says it's like the time. It's been measured by that time. And it's mind-boggling that it's you take the exception and you want to put it on the majority.
Okay, if let's say if Quran is wrong about everything, let's say that. Okay, how about you tell me why it is also mentioning about something with the moon and sun joining in the future, and we know a red giant sun might touch the moon. We know that from
We
science that
don't.
you know
That's
why
just
the
it. That's just it.
the
The red,
apogee orbit the
just a
apogee
second.
orbit of the moon and the perihelion orbit of the sun, if it is
I can
very
answer that.
possible, it is very possible that the sun will expand, the
But that's
atmosphere
not what
of
it
the
was
sun
talking about.
the atmosphere of the sun will expand,
Yeah.
and it is going to
So,
go the new radius of the sun is going to be 1 astronomical unit to 2 astronomical units. It's going to be way huge
Yeah.
now.
Mr.
And that's
Salman,
clearly
So
not what the Quran was saying. That is clearly, very clearly not what the Quran was trying to convey. Because God, if there was a God, would not be utterly incompetent. He would be able to convey that message well enough that somebody other than you would be able to understand it. And they would have been able to understand it the way you say that you do. They would have been able to understand it that way in the 7th century, if that's
yeah,
what God meant to say. But that is clearly
you,
not what the Quran says, because it's not the word of God.
you know why?
What it
Yeah,
did say was that the sun and the moon both orbit the earth, which is wrong, and that they cannot pass each other or they cannot connect with each other, because that was one of the things that was supposed to be one of the indications of the end times. But then there was a full solar eclipse over Arabia, and then they just come up with some apologetics to make up some excuse for why that really wasn't a sign of the end times, because the Quran got that wrong too. So the Quran gets everything wrong, and you will never admit any error.
but here's the point. Why is this
Oh,
saying
here's the
this
thing.
one?
Okay.
No, okay. 75:8 says the moon, and now look at the foolish translations of people giving the word
Foolish
dims, eclipses.
translation.
They have translated as eclipses. Now, eclipses is not an extraordinary event where people would say that where is the place of escape. Why would people say where is place of escape for an eclipse? It certainly is talking about
Because
the
they're talking about that being a
literal
sign of
merger of
the end
organisms.
times, the day
It
of
is actually
judgment.
telling. It
It
is actually telling
specifically
about.
says that this was supposed to be a time of that this was supposed to be a sign of the day of judgment, and it was the day of judgment for which we would not find any escape.
So
yeah.
no, but
So,
people
Mr.
will be puzzled. People will be puzzled that they could have escaped to other planets. They stayed on
Do,
the Earth. They
do
But
stayed
they
you
on.
weren't
know?
talking about other planets. They didn't know about other
They
planets.
didn't.
No, this is all. These things are in the future, right? The sun joining the
But they're
moon,
not
and
in the Quran.
they are in the Quran right
They
now.
are
In
not in the Quran.
The
see,
fact that the Quran mentions Kawakib doesn't mean it actually knows that these are planets, as in celestial objects made of dirt and dust, like Earth, but are in different orbits. It doesn't know that.
okay.
Okay? It
How
mentions
about the
planets.
direct?
Wait. It mentions planets because they move around the sky picture that's seen in the ancient past. So people see them moving against the fixed stars, and that's why they call them planets. Okay?
Somebody in the chat just asked me where the Quran said that the sun is a star. The
It
Quran
never
doesn't
did.
say that the sun is a star because the people who wrote the Quran pretending to speak for God didn't know that the sun was a star.
They didn't know that.
But we call sun star because of the scientific understanding we have of it.
Yeah,
Of
you
it.
Right.
kind of morphed
And where
your
do we get the
idea
scientific understanding?
about
By
when the
not
sun
reading
is
the
It
Quran.
doesn't
into the
mean,
star
but it
because you
doesn't
could
mean the
not
sun
deny it
cannot be
anymore.
called a lamp or anything that can make people understand of those periods. Also, why you're saying that Quran or God should make sense to all people in the future
Oh
only.
yeah,
It should not make any sense
why
for
would
in
the
the past.
absolute truth of a being made of wisdom, why should the words of that being be true?
Imagine if God spoke about sun being a star and everything like that. People right now do not believe me. Right now, what I'm doing to tell you about periods, you have a hard time understanding those.
Yeah, because you don't have any basis in fact
Imagine
behind it.
people,
But
imagine people
if
in
the
the past
Quran
being
were to
told
say,
about heliocentric model. They're gonna make fun of it.
if
How
the
how
hey,
how
the
can you
Quran
convert
says an
it
awful lot of
into meaning?
crazy things. It
How
says that
how
it said that
how can
excuse me,
sure.
the Quran said that Solomon had the ability to tell the wind where to blow. It said that Solomon had genies working for him. It said that Solomon had the Dr. Doolittle ability to talk to animals. The Quran mentions an awful lot of silly shit. Like what was I guess maybe this is from the Hadiths, but the animal the Barak that Muhammad had to ride to get into to I forget the name of the city now.
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. He had to, yeah, and then to heaven, and then back to Jerusalem, and then back to Arabia, and he did all in one night. So he had to travel at 150 miles an hour. Nobody puts this together because well, the math work. Oh, yeah, except that the math doesn't work out, does it? No, none of this. None of this works out. It's all mythology. It's all made up by people who didn't know. Now, if it was God, God could have said that while we think that while it may look like the earth is flat, it's really a sphere. While it may look like the sun and the moon are really the same size, the sun is actually much bigger and it's much further away. And that the stars are the same thing as the sun, and that some of them are actually even bigger than the sun, but they are so far away that it doesn't look like it. The Quran, if it was the word of God, it would have said those things, and then people in modern times would have come to realize the truth of it, just as the Muslim apologists are claiming to do now. Oh, well, when it says that God stretches out the heavens like a tent, it really meant the Big Bang cosmic inflation. No, it doesn't mean that. You are trying to read 21st century understanding into a 7th century document. The people who wrote that had no idea and wouldn't understand anything you're talking about. Those are the people who wrote it. Would not agree with you because they don't understand what you're saying. And you, in fact, don't understand what you're saying either.
To the point, by the way, the description of hellfire in the Quran comes nothing close to the corona of the sun. So
Mhm.
don't tell me whoever wrote this book knew how hot the sun is,
Yeah.
because they didn't. And you're supposing this book was written by Allah. And this book is written by no God at all, because he thinks that the hottest fire possible is the chemical burning of wood.
Where is it?
Okay?
Where is
And
it mentioned?
he's sitting 6 light minutes away from a nuclear furnace that burns at 10 million degrees.
But where does it say in the Quran that the hottest thing is the burning of the wood? Where does it say that?
Well, it does, right?
Where? I want to look into it.
Yeah,
Well,
it'll
you
take
should-
it would take us admittedly some time. I remember when Bogey pointed this out to me earlier when we were looking at the direct verse. It would take me some time to hunt this down. That's why I wanted to have Bogey and Mubarak here, because they're familiar with the Islamic traditions. They understand Arabic. If you tell me what words in Arabic say beyond thumma and one or two other words, kitab, for example, there's not many words in Arabic that I know. So it's better for me to have these people here because they know the language.
Mm-hmm. Mubarak, no, Boraz just asked me a few minutes ago about Kawakib. Why God didn't mention Kawakib for these seven heavens? Maybe like it's better to pinpoint and exactly say things the way they should be, right? Now here's the problem, that seven heavens is already what people were familiar with back in the days of Noah. They already knew.
So they had an error, and God did not correct it.
No, it wasn't an error. It was an understanding.
They
was
had
an error.
They had a Copernican concept of concentric circles, which we now understand is false. And you're saying that although we know now that is false, that God did not correct it.
But Noah was the one who was speaking about it, and it was important.
Yes, but but the chapter with Noah where God is quoting Noah, neither does God correct him in that chapter nor in any other chapter where Noah is not the one speaking.
That's because people who have a disease in their heart will
be determined to defend the gospel no matter what it says. Will be determined to defend the scriptures whenever they're wrong.
Or determined to defend a vacuum, the atheist vacuum.
The atheist vacuum. Oh,
Yeah,
there's a topic we could talk about. What is the atheist vacuum? Because I, being an atheist, I being a prominent atheist, in fact, am not aware of whatever this vacuum is.
The vacuum is that if there is no God, what is there? That is
everything.
That is
there is reality. There is truth.
There is literally everything.
The reality.
There's everything except for the magic imaginary man.
Al-Haq.
There's everything except your magic imaginary friend.
One of the names of God is Al-Haq. You know why? Because
he can claim anything he wants.
Yeah,
it's like
so you can just make up.
He has
you
99
want.
Imaginary names,
and then exaggerate it in every direction, so that God is bigger than big and stronger than strong. So, as if that makes any sense, but to believers it does.
But
without God, what is there? Everything.
Answering Boraz, the seven heavens were a proper noun that people already knew about. So they were not, they were not unfamiliar with them. So it's not something they didn't know. So there were many names given to them: seven heavens, seven luminaries, seven bodies of the classical antiquity. They were all.
But they did not know that there were planets like Earth.
Oh yeah. And I have a now Mubarak, you can come along and tell me. This is a very good point that Boraz just came up with, that they didn't know about that the Earth was also a planet. How about I tell you that Qur'an says that Earth was a planet?
Well, you've already told us bunches of stuff like that, but you can't defend it, can you?
Okay.
Wait. Let's read the ayah you pulled. Let's read the ayah you pulled. Okay?
Yeah, but this verse, Mubarak, can I speak? Mubarak, can I
speak?
Which surah?
Mubarak, let me speak. Surah 65, verse 12. Go ahead, please.
It's just going to take me a minute to look it up.
No worries. In the meanwhile, I can present the translation while you.
Surah 65, verse what?
Verse
12.
12.
Okay.
It says, it is God who created seven classical planets and earth like them. Ardi mislahunna. Now here's the point. It's not saying ardan mislahunna for it to mean seven earths. It's saying ardi mislahunna. It is
Allah is the one who created the seven heavens in layers, which we know that there's not seven heavens and they're not in layers. and likewise the earth. So 7 heavens above the layer, 7 layers of heavens above the earth, none of which actually exist except for the earth, of course. And then in the same verse it says, the divine command descends between them so that you may know that Allah is most capable of everything and that Allah certainly encompasses all things in his knowledge. None of which is true.
All right, 65:12. If you read it, this verse says, "It is God who created 7 classical planets and Earth."
Except that that's not what it says.
Listen.
It says 7 heavens in layers.
If you're going to break me up and then say that you don't have a way to defend yourself, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you are not.
You're misreading it.
No, what do you mean misreading it? It says
I'm reading Quran.com. What translation are you reading?
Ask Mubarak what is the meaning of Ardi Mislahunna.
What translation are you reading?
Read all the 12 translations available on Quran.com and you can.
Okay, so I'm on Quran.com, and it says Allah is the one who created the 7 heavens in layers, and likewise the earth, which we know, as we already established, the earth is the basis for everything, and then the layers are the different levels of sky above that. So not planets.
But
so you're clearly not reading. You are clearly not reading Quran.com. What translation are you reading?
I'm reading the Arabic Ardi Mislahunna. Mislahunna, you know, in Urdu there is a word misal. We say it for example. We use it for example also. In Urdu, it's called misal. Mislahunna is derived word. You can see it's like them. So Earth is like the planets. It's very clear here. Now the problem.
All right. Then Mubarak. Hold on. Wait. You're telling me that the problem is that I'm reading an English translation, and that the English translation says heavens, like I think every English translation does, and none of them say planets. So now I have to turn to these 2 people who speak Arabic. Well, how do they translate it? Mubarak, how do you translate this?
Let me read the passage that he cut off, because he cut off half the other sentence. It says, Allahu alladhi khalqa sab'a samawat wa min al-ard mithlahun. Okay? He created 7 heavens, and from earth likewise. So it's not created 7. He created 7 heavens, and from earth there is within earth 7 other layers. That's what the ayah says. And if you continue, yes, other mithlahun wa min al-ard. Remember, it's and within the earth.
Yep.
You
see again. I tell you, Salman, your Arabic is not really up to the Quran, because when you say an earth like them, you deleted a whole word out of it. It's from within the earth 7 like them, okay, or like them. And then when you continue reading, يتنزل الأمر بينهن, and from between them comes the orders. Okay, so even if we look at it as if it's the solar system, and we come into it, and the order of God have to go between the planet and park in Earth, why doesn't it come? Because solar system is like, why doesn't it come this way? Why does it have to come between the planets?
65:4. This is the same surah that has 65:4.
Bogey, how do you read that?
I read it I agree with Mubarak. I have nothing to add there. This is
neither one of you interpret that as planets.
No.
We were not talking about planets. We were talking about the Ardi Mislahunna.
You were talking about planets. You said that God created the 7 planets.
That's
Quran does not say that.
Did here. Aaron, we already did this job.
Okay.
So when we already did this job, did you already admit?
Now you explain to me why the Quran is saying moon and sun are among the 7 heavens. Now you tell me.
Okay, so you saying wait. So you're saying there are 7 classical heavenly bodies, okay, and that are the samawat.
Yes.
Is that
And
right?
that's wrong. And that's
Yes.
wrong, by the way.
Yes.
No, but
So,
seven heavens,
but
you
wait,
don't
wait,
have to
wait, wait, wait,
translate the
wait.
word seven heavens. That's the point. This is a proper noun that people were already familiar with. Would you translate Iceland into a land of ice or a country? You tell me.
Okay.
That
Listen, let me
depends on
finish.
where
You
you
said
are. If you're there,
you
you probably consider it a country.
if you say that the seven heavens are the seven classical planets, is that what you're saying?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So in the ayah you said and the ardi mithlahun.
Hmm.
You claim is seven layer seven and the earth is like the seven heavenly bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And that include the sun and the moon, include the other planet, which we
Mercury.
know they are not the same because we have a gas giants, we have rock, and then we have a big giant molten star that does not match with any
Yeah.
of the other
Yeah.
building. But
Yeah.
then that will ignore the fact that the Quran talking about expanding the heaven.
Mm-hmm.
How do you expand the heavens when they are solid bodies? Are you talking about like tomorrow we'll wake up and I don't know, maybe Mars is double the size?
Mm-hmm.
Because that doesn't make sense. You cannot you
Okay.
have to you
Okay.
have to
Okay.
level them
Mubarak.
up.
Mubarak, let me now. I'll speak for 1 minute only and not more than that. Okay. Sama or samawat are common nouns, while Saba samawat is proper noun. You can see right now in the slide here. I say that Saba samawat can only mean seven classical planets, while samawat may mean planets, stars, clusters, galaxies, even multiverses. I mean, samawat is a common noun.
Okay.
If you are gonna
I,
say
I,
that
okay.
the
Let me
I didn't finish my 1 minute. That's all.
okay, finish.
You were speaking for so long. I didn't speak for.
Finish.
Let me. Okay. Samawat is clearly any of the bodies, celestial bodies. It is not particularly any one body. Okay. But Saba Samawat is classical planets. Now, what I am saying is that the Big Bang story of the Big Bang, the expansion of the universe, the word used there is Samawat, not Saba Samawat. The word
Do
is
Okay.
you, do you, do you
Samawat.
know?
Okay, let me tell
You,
you something. Again, you fail on your Arabic classes because when you talk about proper noun, it's not a proper noun because you when you say sama without el sama, you put it as a proper noun. Okay,
Mhm,
or it's not a proper noun because it's you
mhm,
put in the al tarif, which means the indicator on it. Okay,
mhm.
there's another way to indicate.
Okay.
Okay, is by adding another word to it. So
Mhm.
when
these
you
are
in
both
it,
nekiras. What are you talking about, proper noun?
yes, both of them are nakirats, and they come together to build a sentence. So it's not that it's any seven. So if it's any seven, it doesn't mean that the seven because it doesn't
Okay.
say the seven.
Yeah, but Mubarak, you are ignoring the fact that seven heavens is a popular name already given to these seven
Well,
bodies.
so is Muhammad a popular name. Doesn't make him a planet.
Does that make the earth the eighth heaven?
I guess
Well,
Look,
that's the problem. You're trying to build your model upon an older model that have been proven
that
multiple times
that
wrong.
that was the only way people could have understood that. Why
No,
did
No,
you
it
no,
no,
isn't.
no.
that?
no,
There was
They
no,
no
it's
could have
not.
other
understood it
word other than
correctly.
seven heavens back in those days in the way Noah
Why?
speaks.
No, no. There's
Noah
Even if
spoke
multiple ways.
2,000 years ago. It is a long time ago when
if you were
Noah was
writing the
in
Quran,
his believers.
if you were writing the Quran with today's knowledge, yet God visits you and says, "Hey, write the Quran for me," and you do it, you would describe it accurately in a way that people in the 7th century would understand.
But we
And
have
that's
to
that's
follow.
the problem is it's the Quran is limited to the 7th century. It doesn't go beyond that.
Some
And you're trying to
450.
stretch it.
But
But
if
what
it
you're
is,
doing is
but
stretching it
but
beyond its
Mubarak,
meaning.
if it is, but if I concede that, and if I actually say that you are right, that it's stuck in the 7th century, Why are these 6 periods mentioned for the universe and 2 for the earth? You can
Yeah,
explain all your day
listen.
and tell me a lot
You
of things.
could you
But
don't listen. You don't
remember,
listen because we already talked to you about how it doesn't mean when it's we already talked about it. Yoms don't mean period. It's just your own explanation. That's your own personal explanation of it.
but I'm making sense here.
No, no, you are not. Have you
I
not
am.
Salman, you are
seen?
the only
I
Salman,
am.
you are the only one who's talking about it like this. You understand that?
But I'm
So all
connecting
the
all the
Muslims
dots till the
beforehand
very
were
end.
wrong.
Till the very end, I'm connecting all the dots. 2 periods for Earth, 2 periods for classical planets, and 4 periods for Earth blessing, 6 periods for universe. All of them match perfectly, gel together with the science
So
completely.
that
It
means
Without
doesn't.
doubt.
that means your prediction about the end of days happening in 4 billion years from now must
Yes.
be correct. So now you are making a prophecy.
Yeah, I am making a prophecy that last hour is way in the future. God is gracious. 81
Okay,
1. Sun will be wrapped up, becoming
great,
red giant in
great.
4.5 billion years. Sun will stars fall down. Andromeda approaching the Milky Way same time. Mountains are stripped away. Red giant sun causing Earth to expand, causing divergence of convergent tectonic plates uprooting the mountains. Sea set on fire, water evaporates, and divergent
But
tectonic plates that form volcanoes diverge further to give way for a lot of magma, making a sea of fire.
Okay,
Sky
and
will
you know that none of that is in the Quran, right? None of it.
none. You can go check out Aaron. You can check out all these verses.
And
81,
we have, and every
81.
time we have, your assertion always failed. You've
How
got
about
100% failure rate. You have failed
if
every assertion. You keep saying, well, then I have other proofs when you never had a first proof. Every
but
one of your arguments has
you're
failed.
not
You say that
you're not
you're
even
making sense.
you're not
You're
even
talking
checking
to
out
three
the words.
different people. Wait, you're talking to three different people, two of which understand Arabic and were raised in Islam, and they know better than what you're saying. Then we have roughly 300 people in the chat. I doubt any of them, not one of the 300 people listening right now, thinks you're making sense. You are alone, sir.
Sir, if I'm alone, I'm good to be alone. You know why? Because I
Because
only
you're
care
not
about
good to be
God.
alone. If you think you're
You know why?
making sense and you're
I
only
only
making
care.
sense to
I
you,
only
then
care
you're
for
not
what God
making
said,
sense.
not what people say. I cannot just
But you're
fall into
not
trap
making
of
sense if no one, hundreds of people listening to you, and no one agrees with you, if no one understands what the fuck you're saying, then by definition, you are not making sense.
So you just ask me yourself. You ask me where are these verses? I'm telling you exactly where there are.
And
81
they're
1.
not
81.
there. And
Why?
we opened it up and we read
Why
it,
can't
and
you
it
check the
didn't
word
say
number?
planet. It didn't say planet in English, and it didn't say planet in Arabic.
Didn't
You
we
were
move
wrong
on?
there
Didn't we
too.
Aaron, didn't we move on to the topic that Boraz was discussing about the last hour that I'm making a prediction that
Did
it's
you
gonna
ever
happen?
concede when you failed any of your previous topics before we move on to another one?
Do you concede
Did you
to
ever concede any of your previous failures?
why would I have numbers here.
Why
I'm
would
not
I?
even
Right, right.
I
Why,
am
why
not
would you
even
concede
twisting
when you
words.
made mistake
See,
after mistake
see the
after
difference
mistake, error after
Aaron,
error?
Aaron, the
Why would you
difference
ever admit
between
that?
the difference between me and the other people you have debated so far, the difference is I'm telling you numbers. I'm not taking you to
Yes, you are telling me
the different
erroneously derived numbers
twisted
which are
words.
produced by
I'm
bad
giving
math
you
and
numbers.
faulty
the,
assumptions.
oh, okay. The difference between you, Salman, and the others have came with a traditional understanding based on hundreds of years of Islamic tradition. You
Yes,
are coming whole cloth by yourself.
I'm coming with a scientific evidence, you can say.
Except that you don't have that.
You
Actually,
don't.
actually, the thing is, I'm intellectually honest. I'm not
No,
saying
you're
anything.
not. You
I
are
am.
not. You are trying to retrofit
Uh,
7th century mythology that is based on a flat earth and
then
a
it,
firmament dome, and
Aaron,
you're trying to twist that into something it was never intended to be. You are
Aaron,
being very, very dishonest in your approach. You are
If
not
so,
making sense. You haven't established any proofs. You don't have any other proofs because you didn't have any first proofs. You keep making errors. You will never concede any of them. All you've done is fail.
Aaron, anybody can say all that you have said right now.
Everyone can see. Yes, hundreds of people are watching. Comment.
Everybody can say someone is making no sense. Anyone can say that. We are
Yeah,
talking about
yeah, but we've got hundreds of people here to
but it's
attest to
very
it.
easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, just to say things like that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
and we've
showed
got
you
hundreds of
numbers.
people
I
listening.
showed you
You're not
numbers.
convincing anyone.
Why are you not conceding that the numbers mentioned for the universe creation and the earth and the planets and the
I
and
will tell you why it doesn't make
this
sense,
is a
because
mid-level
you're trying to say the earth
right?
creation is the age of earth, and that is not true.
Yeah, we've already
And you're
corrected
trying
you
to
on this.
say the creation of the universe is the age of the universe is not true. If I'm telling you that I created a cake in 2 hours and then
Yeah,
I ate it in 3 hours, that
yeah.
doesn't mean that I created the cake in 5 hours. Means I only created the cake in 2 hours. You understand? This is a limit. When I
Okay,
tell you
Mubarak.
I created something in time, that means
Okay,
that time is done.
okay,
Well,
Mubarak.
to be completely fair,
If you're gonna get Mubarak,
somebody,
I'm
hold
speaking to
on,
you. Mubarak, I just need
somebody in
30
the
seconds.
chat,
I am not gonna take too much time. 30 seconds
yeah,
only, please.
somebody in the chat,
Listen,
somebody named Terrence Hanley says, "Hey, Salman, I'm on your side, honey." So I don't know exactly what that means, but out of 300 some odd people, somebody, one person maybe.
so maybe, and that's enough for me. All right, so now
Enough
that's
for
enough.
you to still not be able to say that you're making sense.
That's enough for me. One is good. All right. So let's imagine I am asking for only 30 seconds now to explain myself. Let's say I build a house in 6 months and I make its living room in 2 months. I haven't built the house yet. It's still in construction. I'm going to take time to build it, right? Once I'm done building it, what would I call it? I built it in 6 months. I will say exactly that. And I will say that the living room was created in 2 months. So this is exactly what the Quran is saying. The universe was
Okay, okay,
created in 6 periods. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, you go
okay,
ahead. You go ahead. I'll let you speak. I'm not like you. Oh, sorry.
okay. Okay, let me speak. Let me tell you something. When you
Sure.
say you have created the house in 6 months and the
Mhm.
room in 2 months, okay?
Yeah, living room.
Does
Yeah.
that mean 20 years from now you will tell me you created the house in 20 years? Because that's exactly what you're saying. That
Yeah.
the age of the universe is, see, that's wrong. That
Yeah,
the
that's
science
very
thing.
good point. Mubarak, I congratulate you. See, that's the
So
reason why
so
I like your style. I like the way you bring
so
up arguments.
yeah.
I have an answer
Look,
though. But, would you like to listen or not? Because this is the
yeah, tell
exact
me
thing I
tell me
want
why
to answer.
6 days equal the age of the universe.
Okay. Here's the response to your thing that you are saying after 20 years will the ratios not change? Of course they will change. So does all the ratios. You know why? Because
I didn't
if
say ratio, I said the time of the thing.
all right, let's say you build a house in 6 months and its living room in 2 months. You will calculate the ratio when you completed them. The same day you will calculate the ratio. You will not just calculate the ratio after 1 month. You not do this. Otherwise, you will result into an erroneous ratio of 3:7, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
0.4.
no, no, you're
This is
getting
not
into
a correct
you're
ratio.
getting no,
Because you
no,
have
you're getting way away from the point. You're
this is
getting
not
away
how
from the point.
this is not how
Let me
mathematics
tell
works.
you let me tell you what I want to say, okay?
Okay.
If you say the Quran says that the creation of earth is the creation of the universe is 6 days, and the creation of earth is 2 days, okay?
Yeah.
That's what you're
Mhm.
saying.
Okay.
Which you equivalently there put that 6 days or 6 periods of time equal the age of the universe. But that
Okay.
doesn't make sense, because when I tell you the age of something doesn't mean that's the time of creation of it. The creating stops. When I'm finished with the house, I don't continue creating the house. The house is built in 6 months. After
Yeah.
20 years, I will tell you 6 months.
Yeah. Right.
So you cannot take when it says a creation and say it's age. It doesn't make sense. That's
All
not
right.
right.
let's since I had your Arabic lesson, can I have your ears for my
Yeah,
mathematics?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. You have a very good point and a valid point, and that needs to be answered. All right. Listen to me, but give me just 1 minute. It's not going to take more time. Now, since we are speaking about the ratios that I have already told you, these are 0.33. I am only saying that you cannot include more years or billions of years. Otherwise, this ratio will be disturbed. You have to see when God spoke about these periods. He spoke 1400 years ago, which is negligible to the 4.53 billion years ago we are talking about, right? But in a billion years from now, this ratio would obviously change. So the people, the humanity back, in future, they are not going to take the wrong ratio. They're going to see when the revelation was made, when God revealed these messages. Secondly, you have to also understand that this whole thing is the creation thing that you are talking about, that when the earth was created, it was created through the solar nebula. The planetesimals were joining together all the small ones, small bits, and the body started to grow and grow and grow until we get the earth. All the bombardment happened on the
Okay,
earth.
okay,
Now, once
okay.
the bombardment was
That doesn't equal 4.5 billion years.
no, that does not. But when it
So
started till now, no, no, when it started till now,
no.
listen,
So
listen,
either
listen.
you're
When
saying
it started,
you're saying
when
that the
it,
Quran
when,
created Earth in 2 days, which equal 4.5, or he create on the Quran, or is it created in less time? So that's the problem you don't see. You don't see that the Quran talking about creation, and creation is done.
so
Age
you
beyond
okay,
creation
okay,
is not
okay.
an evidence.
At the time of the revelation, the two periods for the earth creation were completed, and I am also telling you one more thing, that the future
I
two
don't care
periods
about the
also
future
need.
2 periods.
Listen,
Let's talk.
listen.
How
But
long
hear
does it
me
take?
out. But hear me. You
How?
don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay, listen.
Because
Two
you don't
periods.
listen.
You
You
have to
don't
let me.
listen. That's the problem, Salman.
You are, if I don't speak, how can I explain? Tell me. You tell me. Okay, you take the mic. What do you want to say?
Okay. Creation of Earth does not create. Let's say that the Earth, when it was made, that doesn't equal 4.5 billion years. So the basis of your ratio is wrong. You have to put first two things. You have to put how long did it take to create the universe, and how long did it take to create Earth, and then divide them to get your ratio. That
Perfect.
doesn't mean the age of Earth divided by the age of the universe.
Perfect. Now, can I speak and respond to you
Yes,
now?
yes.
Okay. Now I'll stay on the topic so that you don't feel I'm distracting, so that I'll be friendly. I will talk exactly that. Let's go 4.5 billion years ago. Let's make it very simple. Let's go 4.5 billion 4.5 billion years ago. What was there? There was nothing but a solar nebula, right? Now, at this very moment, 4.5 billion years ago, it started the process of planetesimals getting together, forming the Earth, and it took all this time till the Quran's revelation, which is in the 632 AD or whatever. I think it's 602 AD. I don't. Yeah, it's 632 AD. Let's say we are counting from 4.5 billion years ago till the revelation of Quran to count these two periods. Now, the reason I was telling you about the future was that in the future two periods, also the earth will continue to improve on. The mountains will continue to form and deform. The earth will continue to get cooler, stuff like that, right? So the creation, you have to understand. Let's say your house you have completed in 6 months, right? It doesn't mean that you are not still creating it. It can mean that you are still creating it and making it better for other 6 months for which it is blessed.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you, Salman. You're totally wrong, because
But why? Why?
it
You tell
took
me why.
no. It
Scientific
took.
knowledge. You tell me some
I
scientific
will
knowledge.
tell you. Let me talk. So it took about 10 to 20 million years for Earth to form. Okay, let's say that is the after that. Earth is there. Before that, there was no Earth. So if it takes me 6 months to create my house, which
Hmm.
means before that time there was no house, and after there's a house.
Very good.
If I make addition on it, make addition, the house is still there. So when
Yeah.
the Quran says it created earth in 2 days, which
Yeah.
means before those 2 days or before those two periods, there was no earth, and after
Good.
those two periods, there is an earth. So
Good. Good.
you cannot say the Quran, the 2 days of the Quran means 2.5 million or
Hmm.
billion. You should say, I will tell
Hmm.
you, you should say it's 10 to 20 million years. If
I
you do
understand you.
that, if you do that, you
Hmm.
look at how long did it take to create Earth, which
Hmm.
took 10 to 20, and then you look
Very
how
nice.
long did it take to create the universe. The
Thank you.
universe was spontaneous. So you go divide 10 million years on spontaneous and see how much the ratio is.
Very nice. You know, in this debate, I respect you a lot because of the way, because you are very clear. You are very clear about how you speak about things because you want to understand, and it's very good that we want to, know from each other's point of view. Now, listen, what I want to say about this. Now, since you have put your question, can I answer? Yeah,
Yeah,
Mubarak.
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay. Now here's the thing. The popular Aaron Ra, he makes fun of me when I say that. So I'm going to start now. Now let's go back to the house example. Imagine that you built a house in 6 months. When you started to go to the yard to bring the wood, you brought the wood there on the 1st January. Let's say you put the wood there in 1st January. Then you put the other stuff on it. Then you made the plinth, you made the roof, you made the roof and the walls. And every week you had some to-do list on which you started doing things. After 6 months, you're going to say, okay, now the bathroom is finished, the living room is finished, this is finished, and everything is finished. In the same way, for Earth, the planet had many things like the mountains, the plants, the sea. They were all in continuous process of being in creation, the continuous process of creation. Creation is not just one set day where you have just created it. It's never like this. Even in the case of a house, you can't say like that. That I built the house on the first day I pick up from the yard this piece of wood. You can't say that. You will say I finished, then I did this, I did that, I did the flooring, I did that, I made the AC duct, I made this. Then you will say I completed it. I am I
Okay,
am I responding to you correctly now?
here's the thing. So you're saying Earth is not complete yet. Is that right?
According to my understanding, Earth is still in the process of improving, and that is why its blessing will last for two more periods, which is 4.5 billion years.
So so
Yeah,
so
And how did
but
you come
wait,
across this number? This, what was it, 4.5 million years, did you say? What was the number?
it's
no, it's
4.543.
4.5 billion. That's what
Yeah,
you say a period is.
4.2
that's
periods.
not two
So
periods.
And
That's
that kind
Two
of
periods.
conflicts with the Allah istawa al arsh part, because then he's finished creation and now he is just watching things
So,
happen.
and you're getting this, this is the Quran explaining scientific periods, right?
I would say it's mentioning those eons or periods so
So,
that
is
you
that
can.
a yes or is that a no?
It's actually telling you that, yes. It's actually
So the
telling you
Quran
that.
is telling you that a period is four, or two periods is 4.5 to 4.6 billion years.
Let me break it down for you so it's
Yeah, yeah.
easier for
What
you.
what chapter and verse does it say that?
41:9, please.
41:9. Why do I
Yeah,
feel like I've already referenced this one?
yeah,
Because
you
we
are.
started with it.
But we didn't go into much details. It's thanks to Mubarak for bringing up such valid points.
Okay, so how can you disregard the one who created the earth in 2 days? How can
Hmm.
you set up other gods as his equals? He is the Lord of all the worlds. Oh, well, look at that. It doesn't say anything like what you said it would.
No period here. It's 2 days.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's wrong, by the way.
Are we still going to
I
debate about
know.
this? Are we still going to debate?
No,
Didn't I?
no, we're not going
Hold
there.
on,
We're not
because
going there.
we do
We
have
know
where
that
the Quran says that a day for humans is like 1,000 days for God. So how could you disregard the one who created the earth in 2,000 years? Is that what it's saying?
or
It
2
doesn't.
million or
No,
2
it
No,
doesn't.
because
billion.
there's somewhere else in the Bible,
If
or excuse me,
if
somewhere else in the
if,
Quran, where it
if you
says that a day for God is like 50,000 human years. So is it saying that God created the earth in 100,000 years?
the thing is
Ah,
50,000.
the
You
thing
were
is,
saying
here's the thing.
based on the angel coming with the inspiration and stuff like that, right? 50,000 is there, and there is also a figure of 10,000 there. So my point is,
But the
this word Rome has
4.5
been used
billion
for
years,
various
that's
other
not in here
numbers, not
anywhere, is
just
it?
10,000 or 1,000. It is
I
used for
asked you for chapter and verse where it described a period or two periods as being 4.5 billion years. You gave me this one. It doesn't say what you said it would. In fact, every time we've asked you for chapter and verse and you've provided the answers, they never say what you say they would.
Can you explain that a bit? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't.
I asked you where in the Quran does it say that a period or that two periods equal 4.5 billion years? You gave me this verse,
Don't
which
we humans
doesn't
have
say
brain
that.
to
You
think
you
about stuff?
bragged that you were talking about numbers,
Yeah.
and
Imagine,
numbers
imagine,
don't appear here
imagine,
except for the word
imagine,
2 days.
imagine God is telling all these numbers in Quran,
Except
4.5
that he's
billion.
not. And I
It is,
think
oh,
what's happening is that you're the one
for a while.
imagining. You're the one that
Imagine,
is imagining that God is telling all
okay,
these numbers, but it's
Aaron,
not really
imagine,
there.
okay, Aaron, my argument here is that imagine that God has mentioned all the numbers. Let's say the gravity is 9.81. The constant for the cosmic background and everything. He has mentioned everything. Tell me one person who will continue to disbelieve after that. It is
Tell
the
you one
test of
person
God.
who what?
It finishes to become a test for humans. If
Okay,
God
so you
ever
want me
put
to
everything
imagine? You want me to
with
imagine that there's a
numbers,
God?
where is the
Okay,
test? Where is the test?
wait.
Where is
Let's
the
go to
test?
summarize here. You want me to imagine that there's a God, and you want me to imagine that this God is so incompetent that he would source an illiterate madman to be his prophet, and you want me to imagine that this illiterate madman, who's the sole person speaking for God, is now going to convey this message, and you want me to imagine that it's written for people in the 7th century that can only be understood by people in the 21st century, and that it can only be understood by you in the 21st century and not by anybody else, because that's what obvious means,
That's why I'm
and
a genius.
that the number that gives these two periods, how long is a period? Because we didn't say that they're equal periods. They could be different, periods of different lengths. That often happens, but it doesn't tell us how long any period is or how to distinguish the two periods. It doesn't tell us fuck all. It doesn't say anything that you said it does. You
Yeah.
have failed every argument you have attempted. We've been at this for 2.5 hours. How
Yeah,
many
but
more
it's
consistent failures do you have to
Aaron,
make before you
Aaron, but
start
it's very
admitting to
easy
having
to
made
say
any?
it's very easy to just say things without any substantial,
Yes, I know you've demonstrated that.
I
You
have
have shown
already.
that for 2.5
You don't
hours.
want to listen. You don't want to see what can I do? Like it's clear
It's not
right
that I
now.
don't want to see. I want to see.
You explain to
You
me
don't
why
want to
41
show.
9 mentions the word two for the periods and
But
41
it
12
doesn't say
mentions
periods, does it? It
two.
says days. Now, the Quran contradicts
Tell me
itself. It
about
says
the
that a
numbers.
day could
Let's
be a
do the
day,
numbers.
a day could be 1,000 years, a day could be 50,000 years. The Quran is inconsistent and contradictory because it's written by fallible people, not God.
All right. Let's say you are right. If that's so, how did
No, it's
those
not a
people,
say you're
how
right.
how did those people knew about this, that 6 and 2 and 2 and 4? Where are these number coming
How
from?
did these people know about 6 and 2
And
and
4,
2 and 4?
yes.
How did these people with 10 fingers know about these numbers less than 10? What?
See, God has to make sense to all people,
Yeah,
past,
why
present.
doesn't he? Why does
What's
he
that?
not? Why does God make no sense at all? to so many people? Why is it that the vast majority of people
because
have
you need
completely conflicting and intercontradictory, violently conflicting ideas
because
about what God is, and fully a third of the world population doesn't believe in God at all?
you know why? Because we are
Yeah, I
just
do know why. Do you know why?
I know why. Because we are only watching the beginning credits of a movie. There is a lot to happen in 4.5
Well,
billion.
I'm sorry, but you don't know why, and that was
In
the
the
wrong answer.
future, people are gonna make sense. Who gonna make sense and singularity when it is achieved? The robots might also.
I'm sorry, but that
It is
all of your
absolutely
arguments have
true.
failed.
It is all true. The
And you-
robots gonna tell you. The AI
Yeah.
gonna tell you. Future, wait for
You
it.
don't know what you think you know, but that's what faith is all about, right? Pretending to know what you don't know. I get that.
Future 4.5 billion years is a long time.
Yeah,
Humanity
and it
is.
has nothing to do with the
We will,
Quran. The Quran
we
doesn't
will be
mention 4.5
cyborgs.
billion anything.
We will be addressing these things. We will know.
Never does the Quran mention 4.5 billion anything. Never.
Here,
That's
here.
a true statement.
How about you check out these verses 81:1, 81:2, and 3? How about this? We were
81. Well, let me write them down. Let's just see. How many
All right.
more times can you fail? 81 what?
81:1, 81:2,
81 1. And what was the other one?
the 2 and the 3 after this.
What's the 2 and the 3?
Like 81:1, 81:2, and 81.
Oh, you mean 81 1 through 3. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. 1 to 3. I'm so sorry. This is the first time I've started debating.
You're not debating. This is a
Or
discussion
discussion,
wherein you
yes.
were supposed to present a case and you failed to do so.
And you can say anything you want. That's not
And you can say anything you want, but I can be right. I don't get to say anything I want because sometimes that would be lying. I can only say what I can show to be evidently true. If I'm going to state it as fact, I have to be able to show the truth of it. You don't have.
You haven't explained. You haven't explained any of this. Why you haven't?
I have explained it over and over again. I can't help that you're dumb.
Why you didn't
So,
explain that there are
81.
People knew about the
When
two
the sun is put out, which won't happen, and when the stars fall down, which can't happen, and when the mountains are blown away. Can that happen?
Yes, 4.5
Okay,
billion. Wait, and you will see.
81. And how is this to
Do
be
you know
understood?
how much time has elapsed since the dinosaurs went extinct and then
65 million years, sir.
Right. So
you're talking
let's
4 billion
give me
years
these verses.
and
Yes,
making
I
a
am.
prediction
Hold
on
on.
that?
Wait, Bogey.
Yes, I am, sir.
Wait.
Based on
What,
Quran.
what did you imagine that this verse was going to say? What did you tell me to look up that this verse was supposed to say?
Come again?
What did you think when we asked for these verses? What were they supposed to say?
They were supposed to point you towards the future death of the earth and the sun.
Yeah, but this
Becoming
is actually
giant.
talking about the day of judgment. And this
It
is
is.
talking from the perspective of somebody who thought that the sun was a lamp, because that's what the Quran says, and that the sun could be put out. And this is coming from the perspective of those who thought that the stars were fixed in the walls of the firmament and that they could fall down. And it was said that it was supposed to be that the mountains were supposed to be paperweights to hold the map of the flat earth on the flat table on the columns. And all three of those are reflected here. You have failed again. How many more times would you like to fail before you begin to admit that you fail all the time?
You can assert whatever you want, Aaron, but 81.
And you could assert everything you want to.
People back then only knew that sun was a lamp, right? How did these people know that sun will be wrapped up? How can you wrap up a lamp? You tell me. It's saying it will wrap up. The stars will fall down, which means the Andromeda
can't fall down, can they?
It doesn't mean that the Andromeda galaxy is gonna connect with Milky Way. It doesn't mean that. That's your own understanding of it. When it says it's gonna fall down, means it's gonna fall down on Earth. Because
where is the word earth mentioned in this verse? Tell me where.
Because where does thing fall to? Where does thing fall to?
Can also fall down on their own self due to gravity.
No, they can't. There's nowhere to fall.
Because we understand again, Salman, I tell you, your Arabic is not as good as you think. When you say a thing have fallen, doesn't mean that it have fallen on itself. It means it have fallen on Earth.
Are you done? Can I respond?
No, we're
No,
not
don't.
done.
Okay,
We're
I'm gonna
not
shut
done
up
here.
then.
Look, the issue you are struggling with here is that you are assuming that the end of the earth is going to happen when the sun turns into a red giant.
Mm-hmm.
That is an incorrect assumption. There are plenty of other ways the earth can end,
All right.
a lot more abruptly and far before that event actually happens.
So
And
can
to make
happen.
it
What can
even worse for you, making that prediction is there are plenty of ways that even us humble humans can actually make that not happen, including star lifting, including moving the planet out of the solar system and putting
Yeah.
it somewhere else,
Yes.
including creating an artificial black hole and
Yeah.
just powering the whole solar system away from where it is.
Right.
We are a part of the Milky Way galaxy. The collision with the Andromeda, which is probably going to happen within 100 million years,
No,
pretty much.
4.5 billion. No, get your facts straight,
The
please.
point is,
Isn't that
my
risky?
facts are
Salman? Get your
straight
facts
as
straight.
the two galaxies can collide, and we're probably not going to notice much of a difference.
Yes, I know that. But God is
Right.
not
So that's
saying,
not part of the end of the day scenario.
yeah, but God isn't saying that falling down of stars is what is going to
Yeah, and that's bullshit. That's literally
cause
is
the earth to die. It is red giant sun itself.
nothing. A star cannot fall onto a planet. That's not how gravity works.
That's why. Okay, can I explain this now?
No, you can't. A
There is
star will
no
never fall on the
there
planet.
is no earth mentioned in 81.2. It is stars falling down on themselves or Andromeda approaching the Milky Way. Both
Not a
events
problem. Andromeda approaching the
falling
Milky
down
Way is
on
not a
themselves
problem
means
for anyone.
gravity. Don't stars die that way? You don't know how stars die? They die by
I know
falling
how.
down due to their own gravity.
Right. Right. The
So
problem is that the Quran describes the stars, plural, falling onto the earth, singular. Okay?
show me the
Those
word.
dots of light on the sky are going to plunk down onto the face of the planet. That's not going to happen.
Show me
That's
the
not going to
word.
happen.
Show me the words.
You read your Quran, you learn it, you know where it is, you know where to find it.
Oh, you can show me the verse. What you are saying is not true. There is
It's
no
not.
verse that mentions Earth having to receive all the stars because stars are far, far bigger than Earth. They can't fall down on Earth, right?
Where in the Quran does
Quran
it
is,
say that?
where does in Quran it says that it's gonna happen? I'm asking you. You tell me where is the Earth
It's not
mentioned?
going to happen. Stars are not going to fall on the planet because the
You
planet
tell
is
me
too
where it is
small.
mentioned. It is not mentioned in the Quran in the first place. What are
It's
we
mentioned
discussing?
in the Quran, stars
Why
will
should I defend
fall
something that's not even in the Quran?
because it's in the Quran.
You
Where?
just gave me the reference. Would you
This
like me
is
to
this
tell
is
you
the
what
only
verses?
verse. This is the
Yeah, he
only
needs
verse
the
that
reference. I'm
mentions
not
that
going to look it
stars
up.
will fall down, but it doesn't say earth. There is no earthy there. There is no earth there.
Because okay,
Fall down.
go.
Andromeda is approaching Milky Way. 4.5 billion is in the future. Same event, same time. 4.5
So
billion.
so
Same
Surat
time.
al-Najm. Go to Surat al-Najm.
Time earth becomes empty, all the lava comes out. Same time earth will be leveled, mountains will be crushed, planets will be scattered. All these things point towards why planets will be scattered. You know why? Because the sun giant will be less in mass, 50% less. Many of the orbits of the other planets will go off their orbit. Only
But hey, Salman, again, you are admitting something here. You're admitting the fact that life will cease to exist before the sun expand. Okay, and another thing, you're admitting 81:4, where it talks about pregnant camel be abandoned. So how? Because we know if the sun expand even just a little bit to expand to Mercury,
yeah.
life will cease on Earth.
Perfect.
How?
You are
Wait.
absolutely
Let me finish.
That's why I love you. I
And
love
how?
everything you say.
Hey, how do you say is when when the sun expands to the moon, there
Mhm.
will be life still on Earth, because it's
There
either the
won't.
fact that life will cease on
Mhm.
Earth with the moment of a little expansion,
True.
or is it going to continue there?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Let me tell you what's gonna happen, because since I made the
It's not
prediction.
going to happen. That's your own
Or
prediction.
it's my own prediction. Let me tell you how. Can I say
Okay.
it? Like, just
Yeah.
give me 1 minute again. Complete 1 minute. Okay. So life will be impossible in the next billion years, not 4.5. I give you that. I already know that this will happen, because we know that the luminosity of the sun, even in just 1 billion years, will be far, far more than what we can bear on the surface of the earth. So Earthlings make a sunshade at the L1 Lagrange point and live in the bunkers deep inside the earth, because it is God who said the blessings for the tectonic plates are destined for 4 period. It doesn't say that Earth's surface or the mountains. It says tectonic plates will be
It
blessed.
doesn't say tectonic plates.
Bunkers, people will
Doesn't say tectonic plates.
There's no
people
mention
will
of
put
tectonic plates in the Quran, dude.
people will go inside the bunkers. They will put a white material all over the earth to prevent the high luminosity. They will reflect the light. It will be smoke also in the atmosphere. There will be pretty good measures we will take. Only the foolish lot who will stay on the earth. You know why they will stay? They will stay because we have a lot of flat earthers and nutcases in the world still today. So don't you think there are going to be still people who are nutcases in the future who won't believe in science, who won't believe what God wants them to do rather than what people are saying? God is actually warning them, move away, go out. Even in Hadith, we have versions where Prophet has said that the disbelievers will be the ones who will be punished at the end of the days. No Muslim will be there. Everyone will be
Yeah,
moved,
why? Why?
moved out. They will go away.
No,
They
no,
will
no,
go
no, 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 no.
other planet.
There will be a rapture of Muslims. You cannot just say half the hadith and omit the other half. You know
Rapture.
about the nafs that's going to come by and take all the Muslims away? So they're not going to hide, they're going to die before the end times. And you cannot just come to me and trying to convince me with something that doesn't make sense, because
Correct.
you're trying to convince me about the future, a prediction neither me or you will be able to see.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but
if you tell me, oh, they're gonna build bunkers under the ground and they're gonna survive in bunkers, I don't know, and you don't know that. Tell me about
and
something that we know.
but seeing
Maybe
the
humanity will actually leave the universe, even the
Mubarak,
galaxy or something.
Mubarak,
You don't
Mubarak,
know.
now my time. So just at 30 seconds. Okay. Now, why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because of the blessings for tectonic plates mentioned. I'm also saying
It's
this
not blessing for
because,
tectonic plates.
Ravasya, we can debate, we can have a one. I can
Ravasia
speak whole
is
day about
mountains.
why. I can speak whole day about why it is tectonic plates. I can speak it, and I can convince you.
And
I know.
Why are you using the
I could
word
bring
of
my Arabic
blessings?
ancestor, all of them, summon them and bring a Ouija board for you to summon all my Arabic ancestor to tell you one by one how wrong you are about telling the Rawasi is not mountains. Man,
Mubarak.
you stand against the whole language.
Mubarak, but don't you see the point here is
Don't you see that the Arabic doesn't work for you?
see, technological advancements of humans, you cannot predict how advanced will be. You know how advanced will be? Imagine Burj Khalifa. Imagine
I
all
don't
the
care.
200. Imagine Burj Khalifa. Imagine 200-story building. Okay. Imagine that where we are right now is not even on the first floor. We have a lot to do now. We have to see ourselves as cyborgs. We have to see a lot going on. We don't know. People who try to terraform Mars and Jupiter, other planets, whatever they are, it's not an easy task. Many people realizing this would try to terraform the insides of the earth. I'm telling you this is going to happen. You know why?
Okay.
Because there is science behind it. Go read about this, that people have suggested bunkers for an extra luminous sun in the future. Because you know why? Because the outer mantle is going to stay solid. It is only the crust that's going to be liquid and the inner mantle that's going to be liquid.
Okay, but the
The good,
Quran doesn't say
the
that.
amazing part is Quran is saying the same thing, that the
The
No,
tectonic
Quran
it
is
plates.
not
doesn't. It
saying that.
doesn't, because people will be, because Listen. The hadith says, whoever of you was planting a tree, an olive branch, plant it even if it was the last day. You cannot plant anything in bunkers, okay? Even if you say it's technology and whatever, then
Yeah,
how come that the Dajjal will come and destroy the masjid? And we're talking
we
about
we
above
will
ground.
we will
And
be
then you have
advanced.
Ya'juj and Ma'juj coming out and shooting
We
at the sky. You
we
you
will
cannot connect those mythology and try to convince me that the science that we're working on for the future is the same thing as the 7th century mythology. It doesn't work.
we will be
Okay.
far more advanced than what we are today to understand these things. We will reconcile religion with science. I'm telling you that people will do it
No, you
because
cannot.
there is no
Okay.
point in going forward without a God, without instruction, without any rules for
There is full point,
there is,
because the moment you abandon this idea, and the shackle of God is the moment you actually truly could be yourself.
you can be
That's the main.
yourself even in Islam. There is a high
No,
importance
no,
on
you
self knowledge.
cannot. You
You can.
cannot.
There is a
The moment
high
you
importance on self knowledge
No,
in
no,
Quran,
no.
also
You
in
cannot
Hadith.
be yourself. You cannot.
You
You
can.
have to
You can.
exclude people out of your society. You cannot be a disbeliever. You cannot be anyone who's not a Muslim conforming to a stereotypical, hierarchical, patriarchal, anti-homosexual society. You cannot be anything beyond a straight Muslim man. Anything else, you're less than.
Okay.
But
I'm going to have to jump in here for a moment.
mhm.
Yeah. Um, we're gonna. I'm gonna have to end this. This has been 3 hours now
Mhm.
of you saying things the Quran says that the Quran doesn't say, giving chapter and verse where the Quran doesn't say what you said it says,
Mhm.
numbers that you say you're giving numbers, but again, the Quran doesn't give those numbers, and you giving science that again the Quran doesn't give. You're reading your own personal translation written by, I don't know, Xenu or somebody. But I think we're done.
Yeah,
We've got
next time
three
we will
hours of you failing to make a point at all on
and
anything.
next but
Prophet,
next time
Prophet
next time
Salman
we'll
sallallahu
have a
alaihi
moderator, not a
wasallam.
judge, not a person who will judge and tell me who failed and who passed. It's
I
very
don't
easy.
care.
If I if
I
you
don't
were
care
on
how
my
many
channel, Aaron,
I don't care how many
I wouldn't
hundreds
say
of people
things
judge
to you.
you. You failed to make a point. You said you were making sense. If that were true, then the majority of people in the chat would agree with you. But you are not. They don't because you didn't. You
I
did not make
gave you
sense.
the numbers, man. I gave you the numbers. You can
Yeah,
look
you
it up.
gave me numbers you made up that are not in the Quran,
They
based
are
on data that is not in the Quran,
wrong.
based
They
on
are.
things you said the Quran would say that the Quran doesn't say.
It actually says all that I said.
Yeah, it actually says all that we read that is very different than what you said.
That's not
the,
true.
the problem
Yeah,
is
yeah, that is true. And
you
I'm not going to continue to banter against and headbutt your delusion forever. I have a life that I have to get to.
Me too.
So
I was too.
I want to thank you, Bogey and Mubarak. Thank you. It's very good to see you both again. By the way, I
And
missed hanging
how
out with
about
you
me,
guys.
Aaron? You don't like me?
I have never seen you.
You will see me soon.
Yeah, I doubt that. But anyway, the two of these guys, we were together for like 3 years or so, reading the
Yeah.
Quran, and I very much enjoyed those sessions. I want to thank them for coming
I
on with us.
enjoyed a lot, especially Mubarak. He is awesome. He's like,
He kind of is, yeah.
and you are too. You are Aaron. You are too, and Boraz too. But he is outstanding. I'm so
Yeah.
he's very outstanding. Thank you so much for you guys listening to me. In the
Thank
end, I
you.
would say whether we believe or not believe, we are friends. We are one humanity. We are not
Wouldn't it be
gonna
great if God could say something like that?
why is that is not in the Quran though?
because he wants to save your ass.
He doesn't want to
Well,
save us. He wants to enslave us. He wants to send us to damnation so that he can torture us forever.
He
yeah.
loves you. Aaron. He loves you.
Yeah, that's why he
I-
created hell as a
That's
term
why
of
he brought
torture.
me
right.
to talk to you.
Yeah.
Why would the universe creating God even care about us atheists? Why is that such a big pet peeve?
Come again on that one, please.
Why would a universe creating God, who knows nothing about how to create universes, care about the atheist so much?
See, God is gracious. He's giving you time. He's giving you grace.
No, he's
He's giving
not
us
giving
time
us
before
time.
he
He's
gives us
putting
the
us to
ultimate
Grace period.
hell.
He's giving you
of
a lot of
eternal
grace period to mend your
eternal torture.
up.
Yeah.
See,
You have to believe the crazy illiterate guy, what he says exactly when he says that he speaks for God. If you don't believe the crazy illiterate guy, well, then God's going to send you to hell. Well, actually, it's not God. It's the crazy illiterate guy who's threatening you with the fate worse than death because he doesn't have any evidence to back what he's saying.
Once the truth is revealed, once you know it, then you will be tested. Not before that. Don't worry.
We are not the ones ignoring the truth, sir. The truth is what the facts are. We demonstrated the fact the Quran does not say what you said it did. Any of the times you said that it would say that, you failed every single assertion. Now,
Of course,
before we
you
go,
that you have a
Mubarak
channel.
would like to continue this conversation with you. Can I share his email or your email address with him?
Sure, please do.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
close it up. I thank you sincerely. We could just go all day, but I do have a life that I have to get to, and I'm
Yes,
sorry that I
sir.
have to end
Have
this.
a great time, man. Have a great one.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for everyone watching.
Thank you very much. Bye.
The
Take care.
snake needs a slither.